actually double our income. And this is something that we have started, and we are in the process of getting our carbon credits qualified through PURO. Our finances, we are cash positive. We are making profits. And we estimate that by 2024, end of the year, we'll have crossed the $1 million in sales in our sales. And we expect this trend to continue growing. The good news with the chart that I'm showing here, it doesn't incorporate carbon sales. So you can imagine if we successfully, because our product sequesters about 1.7 tons of CO2 for every ton, you can imagine if we include that one here. This has been made possible by a team led by I, who has a background in agribusiness, and Dr. Kevin, who is an engineer, and Juni, who is a marketing guru, and Joyce, who is a procurement expert. Today, we seek $3 million USD, and already we have 1 million committed. And how we will use this? We'll use them in 3 things. Number one, we are expanding our facility to increase our production from the current 5 tons to 12 tons. Then we are looking at reaching more farmers in 3 years to reach 100,000 farmers by having our product in more agrovets. And finally, through research and development and carbon credits, will increase our revenues. So the good news, we are not only about money. So invest in us and invest in impact. So are you there looking for a company that is creating impact and at the same time creating profits? Safi Organics is your go point. Karibuni sana. Asante.
Thank you, Safi Organics. We can still clap for Safi Organics again. Before I invite the judges to give the feedback, allow me to invite one of our judges who's just come in. Faith Miano, kindly come to the front. You can sit next to Judge Yvonne, and I'll give you a few seconds just to introduce yourself. Then we'll get 4 minutes for the feedback from the judges. Then we transit to the next organization. So Faith Miano.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Faith Miano. I am stepping in for our CEO, Jonas Tesfu, who's the founder and CEO of 𝗓𝗡𝗡𝗞 Accelerator, but he was not able to be here. So mostly we support startups, both in investment and also acceleration. I lead the fundraising team, so I'm here looking forward to interact with you and also to hear about the pitches. Thank you.
Thank you, Faith. So I'll welcome the judges. So anyone is ready to give feedback in the next 4 minutes?
Okay, I'll start. I like your pitch. You did hit on some of the things that I didn't get your name, Dr. Lynn talked about in terms of things like validation and so on, which is good. You're a bit vague on some things, which I would like to sort of pick out. You did say that June 2024, you'll have in December 2024, you'll have 35K farmers, and in 3 years, you'll have 100K farmers. Could you give us some more details in terms of exactly what you plan to do, your marketing, your targeting, and any plans in that sense? And the other thing I wanted to say very quickly is that you did mention that one of your customers had an increased yield by 30%. But then it would be good to see what is the yield increase across all your current customers, not just giving us a highlight.
Thank you very much. To start with the last question, we did a survey of about 280 farmers. The average increase in yield was 27% across 7 different types of crops. So we are confident that we are able to achieve that percentage. Actually, some of the farmers increased their yields by more than 100%. So, yes. So in terms of reaching the farmers, we have currently, our model has been mainly directly reaching the farmers and working with the farmers. The 12,000 farmers that we are working with them, we have a close relationship with them, and we have worked with them directly. However, now that we are going to intensify our marketing through agrovets, and through, for example, we have a new partnership with NCPB, where the government is supplying its subsidy fertilizers, then we are expecting that we'll be in a position to reach the 35,000 farmers through those channels, through the agrovets and the NCPB. So in terms of the 100,000 farmers, we are looking into when we have intensified, because part of the money we'll use it for to reach more agrovets and bring more agrovets on board. Then in terms of our production capacity, will enable us to reach the 100,000 farmers very comfortably and be able to service their fertilizer needs.
So to our next judge.
Yeah, so thank you very much. That was a good presentation or pitch. I think I have a couple of questions. One is, I don't recall seeing a clear breakdown in terms of how you're going to use the funding. I think it said 60-40%. I think it would be nice to see how much goes into marketing, how much is going to salaries. It's kind of like breaking it down in a sense so that as an investor, one can clearly see how the money will be deployed. The other thing I found interesting is that you talked about revenue from both credits and revenue, which I think is fantastic. But in terms of like for like, your product versus the imported varieties like the Ural one, what is the competitive or comparative advantage between the two? Because you talked about a production process that says that you can customize or tweak specific to the customer requirement within a day. But I'm also just curious about, in relative terms, if I bought your product versus the more expensive competing products, what's the like-for-like comparison between the two?
Right, so in terms of using our product, it has several advantages. Apart from the increasing in yield, it also rejuvenates the soil because it's bringing life to the soil. However, the imported varieties, they don't have that. Actually, long-term use of them, they lead to soil degradation. So that really makes the difference. However, as I mentioned, and as you repeated, that our biggest differentiating factor is the fact that we are able to produce tailor-made fertilizer for specific regions, for specific soils. So, which is not very common with the imported products because they come as a one-fit-all kind of a product. Yeah, so then thank you very much for highlighting on the issue of breaking down the use of the money. So, but we are looking at using about 1.2 million in the marketing and distribution of the product, while about 700,000 is going to the expansion of the facility, where the rest is going to research and development, as well as carbon credit and impact assessment of our product. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we are left with only a minute, so I can allow Yvonne just to, yeah.
Sure, thank you. I love the initiative. I think it's really great because that's where I believe the industry is going to in terms of organics and trying to add value as opposed to extract value. I'm curious about your growth strategy. So it's more of a comment really rather than a question. Have you do you have any plans to include technology in any way to be able to help you scale your product? I know you mentioned you're using mostly direct, like talking to farmers one-on-one or going directly through AgroVet. So it's a very good strategy, but it can be limiting, because then when you get from 35K that you're targeting and you want to get to 100K farmers, you'll need to figure out how to do it. So I'm just curious about if you've considered using technology, or if not, how else you plan to grow exponentially, if at all that's part of your plan.
Thank you very much. In terms of our growth, we are looking at 2 ways. One is working with the agrovets and setting up the agrovet. However, we understand that waste is limited within the farming communities. That is why we are setting up production facilities in different regions. So, and this, we can use this model, including going into other countries, whereby we set up in a different country using partners who are available or who already have an infrastructure, and then we can work with them to sell the product. In terms of technology, we are very keen in recording our customer information, and we are following very keenly on that. We have, currently we have an application that we are using for that, and yes, it has potential of being grown or being expanded. As we grow, yes, that will be a key component in our work. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Safi Organic, for starting us off. Yeah, that was a good start, and thank you for the judges' feedback. It's so exciting because I know we have multi-million-dollar companies in this place, multinational enterprises that probably started on a stage like this. So it's so exciting just to see that you are here to support the startups, to make a difference in our economy, to unlock our commonwealth. So allow me to welcome 𝗓𝗓 Incorporation to do their pitch, 6 minutes. So let's work within 6 minutes so that you have enough time for feedback. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. My name is 𝗜𝗚𝗡𝗡𝗞, CEO and co-founder at 𝗓𝗓. Now, to meet with the growing population, Africa needs about 70% increase in food production so that we can meet with all the demands. Unfortunately, less than 1% of traditional bank financing goes into agriculture. So this represents about 3% of what is required, creating a gap of about this represents less than 3% of the 300 billion required. Now, over the last few years, we spent time in the farms, talking to farmers, understanding their needs, and we've realized over 95% of farmers do have very informal ways of tracking their farm performance. Most of them either write them down on pieces of paper or keep them in memory, meaning that they are never really sure about how well they performed or are able to plan for the future farming ventures. Over 90% of the same farmers have to rely on middlemen to sell their produce, again, meaning that they get very bad prices. They are unable, again, to continue increasing their production and have to rely on what the farmers, on the middlemen tell them. So this is the space we want to play in. Now, 𝗓𝗓 is an end-to-end solution, working with small-scale farmers, providing them with access to finance, providing them with insurance for their production, for their farm produce, training them on innovative ways of producing, give them digital record-keeping tools, again, to ensure that they're able to track how well they're performing, and get data insights on how they can plan their farming ventures in the future. And then at the end of the farming cycle, we help them sell their produce by introducing them to a pool of buyers who offer better than average market prices for their produce. We primarily focus on the poultry value chain, currently specifically working with broiler farmers. So we have built a portal where farmers can be able to access their produce. This is a very light portal, ensuring that farmers do not have to rely a lot on data. So they're able to access they're able to request for financing. Financing is in the form of inputs, ensuring that you do not give the farmers cash, ensuring that this is used in the right way. They can be able to access training on financial literacy, on improved production methods, amongst other things. They're able to track their production, and then at the end of the farming venture, we provide them with a lot of analytics on how well they performed. Our target market has been small and medium-sized farmers. So farmers who primarily have been suffering over the last few years, especially since COVID. They haven't been able to increase their production. They are unable to access financing from traditional financial institutions that can be very rigid. If you go to, for example, to ask for a loan for a bank, for the poultry farmers, it might take about 2 months to process. This is the same time it takes for a whole farming cycle. So it doesn't really make sense for them to go through that way. We estimate the market across Africa to be about a $1.2 billion market. This moves from the total agricultural funding required, breaks it down to farmers who might meet our stringent requirements, and farmers who would be able to take on board additional financing. So this is how we've been hatching our eggs. So currently we make a share of the profit from the farmers. Once we help the farmers produce, once we sell the produce, we make a profit of the share. We make a share of the profits. In the future, we're looking at getting into additional value chains where we're able to get into cold storage, processing, amongst others, to ensure that we continuously increase our revenue earning potential. This year, we are looking at getting at about $220,000 revenue. In terms of our impact, for farmers that we work with, they're able to increase their production by up to 85%. On average, they are making an additional $750 per annum. So this is based on farmers who can take an additional 500 chicken investment in their farms. In terms of job creation, each farmer we work with brings on board an additional four employees. So these are people who will help them during the farming venture itself, during harvesting, and also during delivery to the market. Farmers who work with us and access our training materials are able to have lower mortality rates. So currently our farmers have about 3% mortality rates of the chicken as compared to about 10 to 15% in the market. And we currently focus mainly on women and youth. We have about 80% of our farmers being in that category. Now, the team behind this amazing product is myself. I have over 15 years experience working in the startup space, helping various businesses grow and scale across Africa. My co-founder, Oren, the CEO, has a digital transformation background, has been working in the last about 15 years in the UK and Europe, helping digital businesses grow. We are backed by an amazing team of founders, an amazing team of advisors who basically work with us throughout the journey and help us think about our strategy going forward. We are currently looking to raise $1 million. We have about 250,000 of that committed. So for that, we are looking to increase our reach. 60% of that to be used to onboard an additional 7,000 farmers on the platform. Help us increase the farm projects in terms of also helping us build partnerships that can increase and unlock additional funding. 20% of that will go towards building our technology, adding additional functionalities on the platform currently as we continue to listen to our farmers and add whatever values that they're looking at. Well, 15% will go towards looking to increase our production offering. So currently, like I had mentioned, we are working with broiler farmers, but we are looking to move towards additional products. So in terms of our growth strategy, so currently we are working in counties in and around Nairobi, but over the next year we are looking to expand across the country. We're looking to do some research on working with other additional products. We are currently piloting on working with layer farmers, and hopefully within the next few years we can also launch that into the market. So thank you very much for your time. I'm looking forward to working with all of you.
Thank you, Grow Agri. Thank you for working within the provided time. So you have at least the 4 minutes to get the feedback. So to the judges, Faith, please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. That was a very good presentation. I think it's more or less of a comment in terms of, I like the fact that you brought out the aspect of impact, but maybe also related to which SDG goals that then you are realizing. I think also I was keen to see perhaps what would be, because then all businesses have a certain risk, then what are how do you anticipate towards addressing some of the risks that you foresee in your business? Yeah.
Thank you. So we go to Yvonne, and just to the presenter, feedback, if you're responding, take just a few seconds.
Okay. What I didn't see very clearly is it looked like a marketplace, a learning or education platform, and then, of course, the financing piece. But I didn't quite see, unless I didn't see it clearly, the model, like how do you actually make the money? Is there a subscription fee? Is it a commission on transactions? I didn't quite see that. So that would be my main question. And then I was just thinking, I think a lot of farmers in the market are sort of low-tech. I know that maybe mobile apps and so forth look okay, but I know in many pictures I've seen possibly the need for something like USSD or SMS-based as well, just so that the lowest common denominator is not excluded, just to reach those who might, smallholders might not have a good smartphone or even internet access. So just thoughts about that as well.
Thank you for that. Just to clarify, in terms of our business model, currently we make a share of the profit. So once we finance a farmer and they've farmed, we get our buyers to pick the produce, they pay us, then from the profit we share it with the farmers. We are currently piloting on other revenue lines. So I've talked about cold storage, processing, and also basically building a marketplace. We've had a lot of farmers approaching us who we haven't financed, who are looking for buyers. So we connect them to our buyers, and then we make a commission out of that. So basically that's the plan, and then looking forward to continuously adding additional value additions for the farmers as we continue.
Mine was a quick one. I'm agreeing with my panelists in terms of the digital and access to digital, because you're talking about women and their specific challenges they tend to have with certain groups within society. But my main question is that the logical conclusion of your success of your business is going to lead to potential environmental challenges, deforestation and water scarcity. What are you doing now to be able to see how you can be able to mitigate those problems down the line?
Thank you. I think first I'd like to touch on the tech element. So like I mentioned, from our use of funds, we are looking to build a tech platform that can be used by basically everyone. So basically, ensure that we are not leaving anyone behind. So currently, it's a very low data app, which has a lot of adoption from the farmers we're working with, but we are looking at adding a USSD and a component as we continue to work with smaller farmers down the line and expand to other additional regions. In terms of the environmental impact, yes, there's definitely need to think about that. So in terms of our business model and the way it's working, it's very small space use. So a lot of farmers, for a room this big can potentially hold up to even 3,000, 4,000 chicken. So if you're looking at that, the impact might be very minimal. A lot of the farmers we're currently working with already have the chicken coops built. A lot of rural households are in some sort of business around chicken. So we do not necessarily see it as being as an impact in the near future. What we are currently looking at is how do we get rid of the waste that is currently being generated in terms of the feathers, in terms of other small pieces of as the chicken is being harvested. And we are looking at working with partners that can, use the same, can be recycled into other additional products, for example, like the organic manure and fertilizers, and other things that can be utilized by the farmers as well.
Thank you, judges, for the feedback. We're done. Thank you for the presentation. We know we have venture capitalists, we have angels in the house, and you've delivered. So allow me to invite Caroline to call on stage the other startups.
Good morning, everybody. Okay, so took down, 18 to go. So up next, we have Doctors Healthcare if you could please come to the podium, please, and then let's have Kilimo Maendeleo Enterprises ready, because you're up next. Thank you.
I think he has a flash disk. He's working on it.
Not the right slide?
Yeah, it was the wrong slide, but he's working on it.
So there's another one, no?
Yes.
Okay. You could say something, or we could fill in for you.
No, I'm good. Thank you. No, it's on. Good morning, everybody. Sorry for that short delay. My name is Dr. 𝗜𝗡𝗡𝗞. I am a co-founder of Doctors Health Tech. It's basically a solution that is enhancing online medical training for doctors and nurses, all healthcare practitioners in Kenya and in Africa as well. I'm also an orthopedic resident at the University of Nairobi. So I've had practice for the past 10 years, and I've got some really good experience. But it hasn't been easy. One of the major issues I've faced is access to quality medical education. And most of the time it's because of lack of appropriate time and sometimes money to attend high quality medical conferences and trainings. Many times we rely on pharmaceutical companies to sponsor our trainings, and there is a lack of significant mentorship as well, because most of our seniors are also in the same rat race. They're very busy working on the public jobs and the private practices, and yeah, we have a solution. With Doctors Health Tech, so the solution is an online platform which we have curated, and this is geared towards helping medical practitioners and nurses create content such that they can share with colleagues. There's a potential of earning from the content, so you could choose what to sell and what you want to be free. We have capabilities of live surgeries where you can learn from a senior surgeon in your field. You can be somewhere in Turkana, you don't have the funds to drive all the way to Nairobi for a big conference that has big surgeons operating. You can come onto our platform and join the surgery, even have access through a moderator to ask questions on the challenges that the surgeon faces. We also have video conferencing capabilities where we bring talent from all over the world to our local doctors. And this is all geared towards the high-quality medical education. So for the business model, this is the main way we're going to get the revenue streams through subscriptions. These are monthly subscriptions. We have a freemium service where you can access the content that is free, but you will also have to pay for the paid content. We have a basic one that is $5 a month, that you have access to about 5 videos per month. And for $20 a month, which is a premium service, you have access to all the content that is within. We also generate from the live surgeries. Many conferences happen annually in Kenya, and most of the surgical ones have pre-surgical camps. So there are live surgeries that we are able to stream to doctors far and wide. Traditionally, to learn surgery, you need to scrub in and be in theater with the surgeon. And normally it's limited to about 6 doctors. But with these live surgeries, of which we charge the various associations, then you can actually stream to hundreds of thousands of doctors with our platform. And also the video conferencing is also another way of revenue streams. We get commissions from them. We also provide technical support of the live surgery such that the doctor doesn't have to go through the hassle of organizing how he's going to do the recording. We can provide technical support, and this increases the commission that we're going to get. Our major clients are medical students, doctors, nurses. All the medical associations in Kenya and in Africa have conferences every year, and they are very good clients of ours. We have medical companies, both pharmaceutical and non-pharmaceutical as well. The target market is wide. We have up to 1 million nurses and doctors in Africa with 800 medical associations and 1,500 companies who we are working with. For the projection, we made just about $50,000 in our first year, and we have an annual projected growth of 10% from year 2, with annual increase in cost of 10%, and we're always keeping the costs low to maximize on the profit. This is the roadmap. We're established in 2021. We have experience in Algeria over 2022. We moved on to Kenya because of the lucrative startup scene and market. And in the next year, we plan to raise capital, grow the client base, and scale operations. These are our major competitors, and the edge we have against them is that we have created a one-stop shop where medical practitioners can create content, earn from it, and have a significant mentorship program. So we ask for $250,000, and this is to purchase equipment and work on the platform with continued maintenance as well, scaling through our research and development, the marketing strategy for 20%, and grow our team. So this is us. We have 𝗖𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓, who is the CEO and founder. He's a consultant anesthesiologist. Myself and Sami is an entrepreneur and COO. And basically this is a platform made for doctors by doctors. I really want to thank our partners and mentors, and without them, we wouldn't have been on this stage. So many thanks to them. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. So over to the judges, in any order, feedback and questions. Let's keep it concise, please, so that we manage the time. Thank you.
Hi. Thank you for that presentation. Really interesting. Mine, I'll admit, is a personal question. I'm just wondering about the quality control. I think literally these are matters of life and death. So I'm just wondering, how do you ensure that whatever information you're showing is the correct one and that there's actual good learning and, that, lives are not lost as a result of that? And then I also have a question around validating. So you could answer that. And also, I just wondered, you said that you've made $50,000 already. Is that from funding? Is that actually from the revenue? Is that revenue that you've gained? And if you could just talk a little bit more about that. I'm interested in how you've actually validated your product.
All right, thank you very much. So this is a good question. Thank you for that. About the content, we have a scientific committee that goes through the content before being uploaded. And this is a major way we'll do checks. We'll work on other ways, because as much as it grows, then we'll have a lot to deal with. So we're also looking at ways we could incorporate artificial intelligence into marking the quality of the videos and content that is being uploaded. But currently, we're working with a scientific committee made of doctors, nurses, and it has to go through a check before successfully being shared. This platform is strictly for healthcare practitioners with no access to the public, and by the time you're registering, you need your medical certificate, and we have to authorize that you are an actual practitioner with a current practicing license. For the revenue, we have worked with a number of esteemed associations, just to name East Africa Arthroscopy Association. We worked with the First Kenya Association of Pediatric Surgeons, and a few others, and they all paid us to market their content with the various social media channels and work on their audiovisual content. And everything that we recorded is actually on the platform, which is amazing because it's we provide on-demand content for the participants who were in the conference, and for those who weren't, they need to pay a bit to check the content.
Okay, first thing, very good deck, clean, concise, branding, awesome. So that's the first thing I'll point out. I think investors notice that sort of thing. Several questions. The subscription rate, I know $5 sounds like a modest amount. We are in Africa. I don't know whether that's competitive. Number two, are there competitors in your space, locally or internationally, that you're going up against? Number three, the advent of YouTube shows that there's a lot of free stuff out there. And I'm just wondering, is that a competitor, free content? And then the last thing, I think, maybe going back to what Yvonne was asking, I don't know the in-person versus virtual, whether there's a certification or a quality issue there, because, it's life and death stuff. It's health treatment, medical treatment. I think that's something that I'd just be keen to hear more about.
Yeah. So I've just portrayed the current competitors, and basically each one of them does a certain aspect. Like there's one that does the live streaming, there's one that deals with the CMEs and the video conferencing. For us, we have created a one-stop shop where you could get all of this content within us, and we are also continually innovating and looking for new ways of learning, because the traditional way of learning is, you're in class, and research has shown that assimilation of this information many times for medical students is through discussion groups and other content outside class. So these are the things that we are working on. In terms of so you just remind me of
YouTube videos.
Oh yes. So concerning YouTube videos, we have created a platform that pays the doctor that has created the content his money's worth. Because for YouTube, you will probably have to wait for a large number of subscribers to see your content for you to get any sort of remuneration. If I post a intricately detailed post of how to do, say, a mastectomy, which is removal of the breast in a patient with breast cancer, this is a skill that should be performed by more and more medical officers, because they have rights to operate. But what we find, these patients have to come all the way to Nairobi or any major town to see a general surgeon. So with this high valuable content that you will follow step by step and get the courage to perform it, it's much more valuable than the subscription fee we've put there. Yeah. And in terms of YouTube, the major issue we're addressing is the lack of local, homegrown content that is relatable to the local doctors. And this is why we're doing this, basically. Thanks.
I tend to worry a lot when I see people looking at competitors and thinking about direct competitors. Because I would argue with you that your competitors are the YouTubes of this world. Your competitors are the Apples of this world. Your competitors are the Googles of this world, because they have the tech. And I'm glad you've talked about AI, because Google at the moment is trialing an AI Google doctor at Mayo Hospital in the US. And they're doing that also in London at Imperial. So when you think about competitors, always think about the direct competitors and the indirect competitors, people who are coming around the corner who one day will surprise you and they will be wondering, what the hell happened? My other question is on data security and privacy, because you're talking about sensitive data. Specifically, how are you complying with the Kenyan privacy data and the regs and the international standards in terms of protecting individuals' privacy and sensitive data?
Yeah, so thank you for that. We will think big. And about the data, it's very sensitive, yes, because sometimes we're showing patients' body parts. So far, we get consent from the patient. We have a consent form that informs them that we're going to use the surgical video for education, and we get consent from them. At the same time, we are following the HIPAA guidelines and moving, and we are in discussions with the board, the medical council, as to how we can incorporate this, because there are no clear set guidelines as of now, but we are in discussions with them to incorporate this new way of learning.
It could be your competitive advantage, because you'll be saying, well, if you come to our platform, we've got these safeguards in terms of your privacy and the sensitivity of your data. We have a partnership with so-and-so, so-and-so, that will giving us an edge over our competitors in this particular market.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Let's give him a hand. Awesome. So our next presenter is from Tanzania, and the company is Kilimo Maendeleo Enterprises Limited. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is 𝗜𝗡𝗡𝗢𝗡, and I'm from Tanzania. By background, I'm a development practitioner, so I mastered in development studies and development management. So I've worked through different programs, particularly in livelihood and agriculture. So today we are here to basically share with you what we have built. We have built a Pan-African platform, digital platform, which actually is addressing the issue of agricultural fragmentation across the continent. So the infrastructure is basically tailor-made for the continent of Africa, and is trying to look into the issues why our farmers in in Africa actually are applying 15 times less fertilizer, which leads to less yields, hunger, and food insecurity. So these are some of the issues that the platform is trying to address, because that emanates directly from the fragmentation of the value chains and supply chains in the market. So also, the fragmentation actually causes almost 80% of the smallholder farmers to have a limited financial and market access. But also, if you look also at the maize as the main staple food for the continent, you see the yields are 50% less than the developed countries and 20% less than the developing countries. So all of these are a result of the fragmentation of agricultural value chain. So what we have done is a transformative digital ecosystem, is a fusion of agri-tech, fintech, and climate tech, whereby we offer last-mile connectivity and digitize processes to enhance traceability and visibility for farmers and actors across the value chain. But also the segment of fintech, actually we provide rural-based agriculture actors connectivity to formal financial services, and also access to insurance and loan products. We provide last-mile connectivity for financial service providers to rural-based clients, and we have a bit a CRIMO score that actually can do creditworthiness using alternative data. That's the farm economics. On climate tech, we use the data that we get from the fintech part and the agri-tech to do data-driven information that enhances mitigation, resilience, and adaptation of climate changes in relation to farming production on very specific GPS points whereby farmers have been registered. So we are targeting rural and agriculture-based markets. The market size, for example, in Tanzania is 12.7 billion, is worth 12.7 billion US dollars, which is equivalent to 28.2% of the GDP. Currently, our main focus has been to onboard 2.2 million farmers out of 9.5 active farmers. And active in a sense that these are 100% dependent on agriculture for their livelihood. We have others who actually, maybe they depend on agriculture by the means of 50% or so. Go-to-market strategy, actually we're using partnerships. So we have a partnership with the banks. We have a partnership with processors and exporters who are buying straight from farmers using our platform. We have 4 major input suppliers who are actually supplying through our platform to farmers. But also we have 3 banks where we have co-created products that are responding to the farmers' needs. And also we have 1 insurance company and over 300 agro-dealers across the country. Right now we are operating in Tanzania, and we have started just in Uganda in last year. But also we leverage existing system, meaning that we don't reinvent the wheel. We are using already existing system by digitizing it and enhancing the efficiency of those systems, like government extension officers, the network of agro-dealers, the network of cooperative, et cetera, et cetera. But also we build human-centered business cases that can cater to very specific needs. So if we have a factory and your factory is learning, has a high idle capacity for a particular crop, maybe soy, we can create a business case for you and engage farmers actually to produce to feed your factory. So our revenue model is basically, we are using B2B, whereby we co-create with banks. For example, with the banks, we have both the Visa and the MasterCard offering, whereby we share revenue. So, but also the loans that they are offering, we share revenue in terms of the interest rates that they are charging, etc. On B2C, actually, we extract a value of $15 from our farmers, but also we are charging them 1.8, but we get from them at a later stage. But also, we provide some services to the government. We offer last mile distribution for some of the cotton sector, input distribution in Tanzania, which actually accounts for about 30,000 farmers in that region of Western Tanzania. In terms of, in terms of competition, actually, we have a number of platforms actually in Africa who are doing more or less 1 or 2 of the things that we do, but our offering is much more in a sense that we are building an infrastructure whereby other people can build a business on top of it. So we don't do the direct distribution or anything, but we offer a platform, in a real sense of platform, whereby other people can build a business on it, and it can go in any particular country in the continent of Africa. Our traction so far, we have 93,000 farmers, whereby 5,000 of them are actually active, and active in the sense that they are buying 3 services from us, and which generates us about 15.4%, $15.4 per season on average. We are onboarding about 1,000 farmers per month right now, so in a quarter about 3,000, and the lifetime value of our clients, particularly farmers, is $46.2. Which is 15.4 per active farmer per season, per 3 seasons that we are working with. And then, in terms of the revenue, in 2021 we registered 30,000 US dollars, and 2022 77,000 US dollars. Our projections are actually going to hit 123,000 US dollars coming by the end of this year. So the revenue projections as follows: 154 for 2024. Probably, and USD 270 for 2025, and 2026 is 500. We're going to hit the 500,000 mark. So these are the onboarded farmers. We have said we have 93,000 farmers right now, but we are expecting to have almost 100,000 by 2024, and 116 by 2025, and 128 by 2026. If we look at the pace it is right now. So we have increased, in terms of impact, we have increased income levels. In 2024, we are expecting to do 7%. We did 6% last year for our farmers because of the streamlined process for getting input and getting to the market. And because of that, actually, we think their revenues are much more higher compared to, a different way of doing it. So in 2025, we think we're going to increase the income levels of farmers by 8% and 9% respectively in 2026. So we are thinking that now we have 5,016 active farmers, so we will do maybe 10,000 by next year and 18 and 30 in the following years. We have done decent, if we look at the decent job creation as an impact, basically in 2024 we will create 3,000 jobs, 2025 3,800 and 4,200 by 2026. And this actually corresponds to SDG 8. If we look at the forecast again, right now, with our bank partners, we have a portfolio of $3 million as a loan portfolio that goes to farmers. We want to increase that bidding partnership with more banks to get to $5 million by 2025 and $8 million by 2026. And this actually can contribute to SDG 9.3 to increase access to financial services, including affordable credit and the integration into value chain and the markets. But also, because of this now, the yields are actually increasing. We project 6% increase by 2024, 7% by 2025, and 2026, 8%, which actually now that can contribute to reduce hunger and the food insecurity, because of the increased yields. But also we promote universal access to banking, insurance, and the financial services, so that actually resonates with the SDG 10. This is actually what we think our roadmap. We want to build more partnership, launch some digital products in the next 6 months, and add more, recruit more clients. This is the team, myself, but we have Dr. Helen, who is actually an environmental scientist, who is actually trying to build mathematical models based on the data that we collect to advise farmers more on how they can basically deal with the issue of climate change. And Gerard has an experience in investment finance and rural-based business development, but we have our tech partner, who is also a technical director, and he's actually in charge and his team to run the platform efficiently. Our ask is actually we're asking for $3 million, 30% of it we want to enhance the platform, license, proprietary security, compliance in the software, hosting integration, AI, and machine learning, but also building some data models that we can actually give us best results. And then 55% of that money can go to business development, partnership, client acquisition, product development, marketing, sales, and logistics, and the customer support. 15% probably will go to equipment, servers, computers, and 100 terminals. So, asanteni sana.
Okay. Thank you very much. So we'll pass it to the judges to share. Thank you. Faith.
Thank you. That was a very good presentation. I think the one thing which didn't come out clearly was more or less your competitive edge, which then what sets you apart from your other competitors.
Yeah. On competitive edge, actually, most of the competitors actually are offering one or two of the services. We are an integrator, meaning that we don't do direct implementation. We build the platform for others to build the business on top of it. So, like the agro dealers, they are doing inventory management in our platform so that they can connect with the farmers that we have onboarded. And for cooperatives, for companies actually like factories, okay, they develop their own farmer base that can supply to them of our platform. So you see, most of our partners or our competitors, basically, what they're focusing on is actually doing the actual delivery, their own warehouses where they can put fertilizer, etc. No, as we provide a conduit so that our partners and our clients can be able to scale and onboard their businesses. So we offer an infrastructure and the guidance on how actually they can grow their businesses and they can grow employment and they can basically address the inefficiencies within the agriculture value chains.
So that is aggregators. Those businesses that are building on top are who?
We have, if we understand the concept of value chain, we have different actors. So you have farmers and the farmer groups. So farmer groups, actually, they can embody themselves in the platform, and then they can do farm management, they can order inputs, they can do all the sorts of things that they can do within the platform. Our role is basically just to train one or two of them actually to know how to use the technology.
Okay, so Matthew, who is your customer exactly?
if we look at the concept of value chain integration, it's basically everyone who actually is active in the agricultural value chain. So we offer services to the farmers, and they're paying for it. But also,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Matthew. So I understand that, and I've actually understood your presentation, but I think what's not clear is two things. One is the revenues that you've said I think you've made $30,000, and your customer base currently is 10,000 farmers, and I think you said that the farmers are your customers, which is why I'm asking who exactly is your customer, because I suspect that you might be having a different customer who you're targeting and who is probably helping you generate those revenues than the farmer themselves. I could be wrong, so I'm asking this so you can correct me if I am. Because remember even what Dr. Alex said, I think there's a big difference between the users and the customers. I think the farmers are definitely getting value, especially from the agri-tech piece and maybe part of the fintech. But I'm wondering if they're the ones if they're 10K, are the ones who've contributed to the $30,000. Which would be surprising because all statistics around agriculture show
on that, actually, what is interesting about what we're doing is we sit with farmers and trying to see what it is that they need. Okay, and we co-create with someone who actually can address that need. In this case, for example, one of the issues is access to finance. So the banks are saying, I don't have the last mile connectivity. We provide that. But by offering that service, farmers are paying a little bit, but also because the bank is also able to sell to the farmers, so we are also sharing the revenue. So basically, to answer your question, both the bank as a B2B is our customer and the farmer is our customer. Yes, we basically split the cost for us doing that business between the two parties that we are actually helping to connect and work together.
Okay, thank you very much. We are making all efforts to manage time. It's quite a struggle. So I'd like to ask the next presenters, please, if you could keep your time to the 6 minutes that you were given. We know you've prepared, but do try to keep it concise. And we are working with the judges to have at least 2 sharing, asking the questions, and so on. But ladies and gentlemen, let's give a hand to Kilimo. Yes. I know we are all finding these presentations extremely educative. I'm learning as they are presenting and also as the judges are asking questions. And so I'd like to welcome my co-moderator, Fanny's, to take us through the next one and into the break. Thank you.
Thank you. So allow me to welcome 𝗖𝗢𝗠𝗠𝗢𝗪. So please stick to the 6 minutes. I'm sure now you are getting the beats, even as the judges give the feedback, so that you don't miss out on important things as you do your presentation. 6 minutes. When you see me standing, know that you're left with a minute. I think that will guide you. Thanks.
My name is John Jiru, and I am the co-founder of 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗢𝗪. 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗢𝗪 seeks to democratize mental health care to all communities in Kenya through its data-driven solutions that will make well-being accessible. This will create a seamless, accessible, and supportive environment for mental well-being where the users will be guaranteed of easy access, privacy, inclusivity, convenience, and empowerment. According to World Health Organization, mental health care for people living in Kenya is inefficient, inaccessible, and inequitable. There are 5.5 million Kenyans suffering from depression, substance abuse, stress, and anxiety disorders. Kenya remains under-resourced in terms of mental health facilities, as well as qualified personnel. The situation is further exacerbated as there is an exponential rise in mental health issues in Kenya, while the resources seem to be constant. Without tech to bridge the human capital scarcity gap, the mental health crisis will snowball in the very near future. So there are a number of corporates, NGOs, and private hospitals that are coming together to address this situation, but there is only much that they can do. The government of Kenya has pumped over 62.2 billion, and that's just last year. And they are feeling the pinch. And this is just the beginning. Our projections from 3-year research have shown that by 2027, the situation, if we continue the way we are going, it will be uncontainable. So, what are our solutions? If you have a smartphone, if you have a feature phone, you will be able to speak to an AI-powered digital care provider about anywhere, anytime, and at any language you want. This will be called Sawa. Atakuwa rafiki wako. Just in your pocket, if you are in need, you just whip your phone out, whether you want to text, whether you want to do anything, you'll speak to Sawa. Sawa will speak your language. If you want to speak English, if you want to speak Swahili, if you want to speak Sheng, and for expatriates, if you want to speak Japanese, if you want to speak Chinese, Sawa will be there for you, but with localized solutions, but with your cultural understanding. Sawa will be indefatigable, will be secure, will be instrumental in continuity of mental health research in Kenya. It will reduce stigma and will cut care costs by 300 shillings from the present 3,000 per session. So this one will be able to cut up to 300 shillings per year for every individual. So apart from Sawa app, we have our integrated mobile and laptop web app and also USSD, just to make sure that no one is left behind. Already, we have a database of 361 psychiatrists, psychologists, and local coaches. And also, we have a number from the Chinese and the Japanese who we are still working together so that once we pilot in January, we can onboard them and they can start to do, according to our agreement, use it as a research so that we can be able to let our AI mimic them in such a way that it is humanized. So through our mobile and web app, the user will appoint scheduling, access telehealth services through either SMS, WhatsApp, live video call, or phone call in a secure manner. They will also have access to localized web resources, such as articles and self-assessment tools, join communities anonymously or otherwise, and in case of emergency, there will be a crisis support. So when we come to opportunities, according to Communications Authority of Kenya, the total number of mobile phone devices is 62 million, and the penetration rate of 124. There are 5.5 million Kenyans in need of care, and through our research, we know that we will be able to offer everyone these services if we are able to connect with them, to connect with communities, and to connect with organizations with like-minded institutions, so that they are able to use our services or our products or plug in our APIs. So for the year 2024, we project to get like 430,000 shillings from telehealth subscriptions and 2.2 million from mental health solutions integrations. For 2025, we project to double this and further expect revenues of 1.2 million from the first year of licensing our advanced Sawa.ai technology application. So our team is based on me, Eric and Dr. Irene Njogu. I also involve myself with ESG task force that seeks to green financial products for financial institutions. And also I have a team of advisors, Professor Zul, and then we have Lorraine, Professor Haniel. All this will help in moralizing and trying to ensure that AI meets all the bases of security, and also to continue to do research so that we can try to drive policies with correct data. So our main issue is simply to narrow the data gap. Our ask is $50,000 and we are seeking partnerships with institutions, especially in the private sector and the governments, so that we can be able to see if this ability to address this situation and help the government to meet this agenda can be realized by 2027. Thank you very much.
Thank you, 𝗖𝗢𝗠𝗙𝗘𝗞, for working within the provided time. You just had an extra 1 minute, so allow me to invite the judges to give feedbacks. You can start us off.
Okay, so first of all, nice deck, well presented. Several questions. One, competitors. I know this is a space that globally there are many people going into it. I do realize you talked about localization and even using vernacular to do so, so that's a good thing. But just remember that there are other global platforms in the same space. The second thing I think is, so I don't even know what I wrote here, certification in terms of, you're giving mental health advice, which is something very sensitive, standards, quality of advice, I think is critical. You talked about building your own language model. I think for $50,000, you're not going to do that. You need a lot more. GPU time and stuff like that is much more expensive. So I think your ask alone, just on the ability to build your own model, is insufficient. And I think just legality, I don't know whether something like this needs to be approved or regulated, just given the fact that it's dealing with people. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll try to answer all of them at the same time. First of all, in terms of licenses, we are working with all organizations, not just Kenyan, but also specific countries, let's say China, Japan, so that it can meet their licensing. And also we ensure that the providers in our platform, they have all certifications. So in Kenya, we work with the psychiatrists and the psychologists associations. And also for licensing, we have applied for to be a data manager and a data handler at a data protection government agency. And also we are protecting our IP because it's proprietary in its nature. So we are trying to cover all bases. Now, the good thing about the low amount is because I understand, and as you also understand, the economy is at a depression stage. So what I've done is defrayed the costs with resources. So I have an AI engineer, and under him, 2 AI engineers who are willing to help out. And also I have data engineers, cloud engineers, everybody who is well versed in all aspects that we are working on to make this acceptable. On legal aspects is just working with government, trying to tell them that this has moral aspects. That's why we have the advisory team of very highly regarded skills. Professor Nyaga has been professor of mathematics, so he's very good at data, and professor of psychology. Dr. Professor Zul Merali, head of Aga Khan Brain.
Time. Mine is not about the human resource side. Mine is about the compute, right? To do this effectively, the compute is very expensive. So that's the reality that your money is not going to be enough to cover.
Yeah, if you're generous enough, I'll accept anything upwards, like from you. It's okay.
Just a comment before you respond. Just to the presenters, the startups, you're still here. There's some feedback is like for you to work on it, some for you to probably to respond, the critical one, but some feedback. I know you have a team here that probably is taking notes for you, and then probably continue with a conversation with the judges much later. So I'll give room for one more question or comment.
I'll go back to the thing about the data, LLMs, hugely expensive. My sense and my fear as an investor in this would be that you're going to be relying heavily on the American Anglo-Saxon LLMs, from which there's a problem with the bias in terms of the data. So that's my initial concern with this. The other problem I tend to have is it's not clear to me how you're going to be able to address what is a significant problem in Africa, the stigma in terms of looking at mental health and talking about things like depression in Africa. So it would be interesting to see what you're doing in that regard. And finally, what are the metrics in place to look at how you're impacting on this mental health space that you're getting into?
Okay, thank you. So I would say that all of them, first of all, the main thing is localizing. And the second thing is that in these forums, I have met a student from Strathmore who has created AI not through open source. I know you are alluding to open source. Not just from the scratch down, that the tree can produce a noise when it is cut and alert other like forest wardens that there is deforestation. So in Kenya, we are not short of talent. We just have to really try. I think we are able to, and that is actually how I have approached the AI tool. And also the morality aspect.
I think we're sort of running out of time, but we're happy to have this conversation otherwise, because we're deeply concerned with the notion of LLMs at the price you're talking about.
I'll be happy to take you in the advisory role, both of you.
Okay, thank you, 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗞. Thank you, our judges. We've been doing this for some time, so we'll have 2 to 3 minutes commercial break, entertainment, just in the room. So you feel free to stand, stretch. Then after the 2 to 3 minutes break, I will call on Latitude 59, Estonia representative, Kasper. So, yes. So after entertainment, then you'll come to the stage. So entertainment team. So kindly let us sit down and get to hear from Casper, Estonia, latitude 59.
Yo. Yeah, it works. Hi, everybody, and yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I'm not going to stand here for too long. I'll try to get my message across as straightforward as possible. I think we saw really good quality of pitching on the stage over here, and lucky for us, we can say that our CEO and our team already knows for a couple of them already also. So I'm coming from Estonia. We're representing a company called Latitude 59, far up north in Estonia. We're a country that does really well in technology and startups. We have 11 unicorns. It's more than the whole Africa together. We put a lot of effort into it, and we as an organization are the one who's been organizing a flagship tech event for the whole Europe more than a decade. By doing that, we have always focused on investor and startup relations, and that has been the core of our event from time to time and all the way. Now coming to point why I'm over here, as we have been doing more than 10 years, we figured out what's the next step for us as an organization, how we can build our country bigger, how we can get our messages across the world. So we came out with the vision of Global Village, and that's why I'm over here. We are building our satellite conferences all across the world, and we start over here in Kenya, because we understood Africa is the next upcoming kind of the player on a global stage on multiple levels, and Estonian government has already made a lot of efforts to build the community and ecosystems and building the bridge into two nations. So by doing that, we are hosting our own tech conference next week on 6th of December at 𝗖𝗓 Expo. It's going to be a way smaller scale event than Innovation Week, for sure, and we are totally okay with that. We are going to have around 500 to 700 people. Again, we are focusing on investors and startups. So that's kind of the thing that we are doing. And a bigger goal for that is, again, connecting Estonian ecosystem over here and taking people from here to Estonia and understanding how we can collaborate as two nations. We see there are a lot of opportunities for that, but I think my time is up. My recommendation and the invitation for you is check out website latitude59.ee. It has all the information about what we're doing in Kenya, and if you are free next Wednesday, so 6th, I hope to see you at 𝗖𝗓 Expo Center. It's going to be an amazing event. Thank you.
So two of our judges have stepped out, but what I can do is just to invite a comment from the audience. I know we have the venture capitalists, we have the business angels, we have government representatives and honorable ambassadors in the house. And just anyone who would want to comment on what we've done so far. We can see the brains, people who are ready to solve problems and just contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals, Vision 2030, Bottom-Up, Agenda 2063, Africa Agenda, and just things that can help us unlock our common wealth. So from the audience, anyone who would want to make a comment, a question so far on what we've done as we wait for Yvonne to walk in? Thank you. By show of hands. Thank you. Yeah, you can come.
Hello. Thank you, moderator, and thank you, participants, and the auto protocol observed. Of course, I can't forget my ambassador to Kenya from Uganda, Doreen, and all the ambassadors and the high-ranking people. I'm Dr. Asime Florence Akiki, woman in 𝗲𝗡𝗡𝗞 district, one of the districts in Uganda, and I'm here as a representative of the committee. I'm the deputy chair of Science, Technology and Innovation Committee of Parliament. I've been here for all these days to capture a number of things. I'm happy to hear about all the different pitches, and more especially those ones in regard to agriculture. Not forgetting, of course, the health, operating on someone on using the technology. So our farmers are actually suffering a lot in terms of the fertilizers, which have already been substandard fertilizers, because there's a lot of duplication of these fertilizers. So in Uganda, a lot of farmers are suffering with low production, and most of them are actually losing a lot of their produce because of the different fertilizers being used. And therefore, all these pitches that I've seen today, I'm going to link up with the Committee of Agriculture and see how they can actually collaborate, because the whole issue is now collaboration. So in Africa, all these problems cut across, and therefore the issue of collaboration between the different pitches concerning the lives of Ugandans, of Africans, of East Africans, and therefore we need to have sort of agriculturists together, we pitch together, the health people pitch together, all these sectors, the different education pitch together, and identify all these problems that are affecting the different sectors and how we can address them in Africa. So I'm happy to be here for the last 5 days that I've been here, and I've learned a lot. I'm going to make a report. And some of these issues, as a legal representative of Parliament, some of these issues demand policy shift, demand different legal frameworks. So as parliamentarians, we need actually to look at these issues and bring a new paradigm shift in policy, a new paradigm shift in the legal framework and in all sectors. For example, science, right from the nursery, we need actually to nurture our children from nursery, not starting at the university. So I have learned a lot, and indeed, I've got a lot of connections and networking, and I'm not going to be the same, and Uganda will not be the same after me presenting the report to the floor of Parliament regarding some of the issues I've learned from here. Thanks so much, all the organizers, all the presenters. You are putting a lot of knowledge, a lot of work, and indeed, thank you for sharing with us all this knowledge. God bless you.
Thank you, Honorable. Thank you very much. So let's transition into the next startup pitch from pathology, followed by Negas Med. So pathology are in the house. Pathology network. Pathology network. Okay, please, 6 minutes so that you have time for feedback.
Good morning, colleagues, judges, investors. It's a real pleasure to be here. My name is Joshua, and our company, with the 25 people that we work with, we're solving one of the most difficult and pressing problems in healthcare in Africa today. When I was growing up, my mother used to tell me, Joshua, you're special. Joshua, you're 1 in a million. Well, today I'm here to tell you I'm actually 1 in a million, and that's a bad thing. This here is a pathologist heat map of all the pathologists in the world, and you can see that in Africa, it's actually 1 pathologist for every 1 million people, every 1 million Africans. Compare that with the green areas where you have 1 pathologist for every 20,000 to 50,000 people. Why is this a problem? It's a problem because, this is a problem because most people will need a test, a lab test, and they need a pathologist when they're having a cancer diagnosis. Actually, pathology is very important for both extrapulmonary and cancer diagnosis. Diagnosis of extrapulmonary tuberculosis, cancer, and other infectious diseases that are spread out and rare. 100% of all suspected cancers, not just people who have cancer, but anyone who's suspected to have cancer, will need to have a test done. A couple of years ago when I was working as a pathologist in a rural town, there was a patient that let's call her Mary, that I met, and she'd actually been seen a year before by another pathologist. And at that time, she was stage 1. She had a small lump in her breast, and she was sent for a test. When I saw her, I asked whether she had her results, and she didn't have her results 1 year later. And when I met her, she was at stage 4. What's the difference between stage 1 and stage 4? If you make a diagnosis of breast cancer stage 1, the chances of you be alive in 5 years is more than 95%, usually 99, 98%. Which when you make a diagnosis of breast cancer at stage 4, the chances of that patient, Mary, the chances of her being alive in 5 years is less than 30%. Diagnostic delay can reduce the chances of someone being alive in 5 years by almost 70%. And it's also 3 times more expensive to treat stage 4 cancer as compared to treating stage 1 cancer. So most hospitals don't actually have a pathology lab. They don't have a pathologist. You'd expect that the process then is very simple. The patient will just talk with the doctors. They'll have a biopsy taken, a little surgery. It's taken to an external lab, and the results go through this cycle. The results go back. Simple process. This is what you'd expect. But this is not reality. This is the reality. Hospitals have to contend with dealing with multiple providers, sometimes organizing logistics, sometimes dealing directly with the lab, sometimes dealing directly with the pathologist, sometimes paying this person and that person. Sometimes they give up and they just give it to the relatives and tell the relatives, go sort this out and bring us the results. This causes massive delay. And the average diagnostic time in this country, especially for cancer, is between 21 to 60 days, somewhere there on average. Our company has created a life-saving workflow where hospitals deal directly with us, and we handle all these back-end processes. So they just order the test straight from us. We then make sure that it's picked up by our partner logistics providers. We take it to our partner labs. We take it to our partner pathologists. We manage all that workflow and deliver the results electronically to the hospital. This process cuts down the diagnostic time to 7 days, and we can even do 2 days. So the good thing with us is that our doctors can actually order tests remotely. They can order, track, and download their results right even on their phone. But also, our pathologists can also log in remotely, meaning that we have, remember that first chart with the green and the red areas? We can have people logging in from one of those green areas to serve some of the red areas. I think this is an opportunity to unite Africa under one pathology platform. I believe that it's possible, we believe that it's possible that we can actually, using commissions, commission-based payment systems, using alignment of client and vendor incentives, as well as leveraging on data and AI, I think we can create a platform that scales to even some of the countries in Africa that don't have a single pathologist. Because there's some, about 8 of them, I think. And so we're targeting the lab market, about $4 billion, which is a subsection of the entire healthcare market. Currently, we serve about 40 hospitals here in Kenya. We have about 100 doctors in our portfolio with a monthly recurring revenue about $10,000, and we're now looking to scale a lot faster as we look to grow both nationally and internationally. I was joined by some of my colleagues, so I have 14 pathologists now, and we've served over 24,000 people. This is part of our team, and we're here, to open conversations. We raised a little bit earlier this year, and we're looking to start new conversations now with interested potential investors, interested partners, and anybody who'd like to work with us, particularly ahead of our fundraise next year. We're also looking to partner with any potential interested government. It's good to see that we have people from various countries, from Uganda, because soon we'll be coming to a hospital near you. Thank you so much.
That was impressive. You kept the time. So to the judges for feedback. Yvonne.
Yes. Thank you, Joshua. That was an amazing presentation. Thank you. Just one question for me. How do you plan on getting into these new markets?
So there are, I can say, so we have two models. We have a asset-light way of getting in which case people like, let's say, for example, Uganda, that's just an hour's flight away, can ship samples to Kenya. And they can track the shipment. They can track the shipment of all these samples on our software and our platform, and we'll distribute it to Kenyan pathologists. That's a very easy, low-hanging fruit. But ultimately, we'd love to develop the lab capacity in that country to then do the logistics and tissue processing there, and then using some of the technology that we've become very familiar with and we're good at leveraging, like digital pathology, advanced tissue scanners and things like that, we can then upload those images for viewing by remote pathologists. So then any country that we go to would simply look for a partner lab. And once we have a good partner on the ground, we can do that. We also have the ability to work with people who are in the lab space, lab technologists and others, and that can spread our message down to the grassroots. Again, another strategy, happy to chat on this offline.
Okay, I was actually asking about how you go to market. Like, do you need to, actually referencing this slide, county governments, pharmaceuticals. Mm-hmm. So if you're going like the Uganda case, for example, mm-hmm. do you need licenses? Do you need partnerships to get going? How do you actually enter new markets? And what's your plan around that?
Well, the good thing is that in East Africa, for example, we're quite a community, so I can practice easily in East Africa, anywhere within East Africa, and our specialization licenses are interchangeable. So that's not too much of an issue. We do need to partner with the lab on the ground. There's free movement of lots of things across borders, so that helps at the moment. South African and East Africa, West African expansion might be a little bit more complex, but because of the shortage of pathologists everywhere on the continent, I've found a huge willingness to work with us because there's nobody else doing, with this solution, which can work really, in a remote areas in a scalable way. Yeah.
First of all, fantastic presentation. I think that's solving a life problem. People get early diagnosis, they get the right treatment, they get more life. So I think I love the fact that you're coming at it from a very purposeful perspective in that sense. My question is more around, in particular, when you think about healthcare and the cost of healthcare going down to those who are, especially in rural and lower income demographics, who may not be able to even cover that cost. Presumably, are you saying that the county or the government clinics are the ones that will cover the cost of doing this? Is that what you're saying? Or are you saying that the ultimate beneficiary has to pay for it, which might be out of their reach? Which is what I've seen personally in many cases. Somebody couldn't get their diagnosis because they couldn't pay for it. Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely a challenge. We do have some government hospital clients, and each county seems to have its own unique way. Some of them do require the patient to pay directly, but others have other funds. So we invoice the hospital at the end of the month, and we don't really interfere with how they collect the, how they organize their internal, budgets. However, it's true that there's a limit to how low we can go because we're providing a service. We're collecting money from one side and we're paying providers, across the chain. So we are looking at partnering with hopefully the new SHIF and with donor and development partners, sometimes partnering with researchers and other people who can then subsidize cost for certain groups of people, in various ways.
I was going to make a quick suggestion in terms of partnerships. Maybe open up your mind. Think about university hospitals, because they have labs and they have facilities within there. And also think about insurance companies. What you're doing is ending up with reducing their loss ratios and the amount of money that they have to pay ultimately, because you're arresting a problem that they will have to pay out much more quickly and saving them on that. So think about creating a value proposition for insurance companies and university hospitals too.
Fantastic. Yes, I absolutely agree.
Okay, thank you. Let's clap for them. Yeah. Wow, solutions. So in Africa, we have so many opportunities and we have solutions and the impacts to lives, transformation, digital transformation, innovation, and all that. And as I say to the startups who are pitching, I believe you have people in the room who are taking notes for you. There's that magic in writing, because there's a lot of feedback coming from the judges. So I'll ask Caroline. Let me finish with the Negas. You're there? Please come. Then Caroline will take us through other three pitches. Thank you.
Good afternoons. Yes, so I'm Dr. Austin Omune, CEO and co-founder of Negasmed Limited, a company founded with the vision of improving access to advanced medical care in the region. So I served as a medical doctor both in the public and private sector here in Kenya, and had a passion for surgery. When I was doing my rounds in the surgical wards, it was a harrowing experience to encounter patients who would be lying in bed for long periods of time because there was simply no appropriate treatment to be able to send them home. It was quite an experience seeing these patients and not being able to give them a solution. For instance, I had once a child who suffered from appendicitis and developed a condition called open abdomen. So technically, we weren't able to close the abdomen. The child stayed there for a long period of time, and it was harrowing to explain to the parents, why are we not able to treat the child? We experienced several other scenarios, sometimes breaking news to elderly gentlemen that you have to amputate their foot because the diabetes has spread too far, it can't be controlled. We have scenarios where we see relatives having to crowdfund to send their patients to India because the appropriate equipment is simply not available. So we come to realize that this is simply caused because there isn't the appropriate medical equipment as much as there is the appropriate skill force from the surgeons. Due to the high upfront financial strain of acquiring advanced medical equipment, we also have a fractured supply chain where for equipment to reach to our healthcare institutions, it goes through several patents, wholesalers and retailers, increasing the final cost. And we can see that only 5% of hospitals in Africa have access to advanced medical equipment, with 70% either outdated or non-functional. And we see that 17 million people die annually due to lack of vital surgical services, due to lack of equipment. This is 2 times the global rate that we experience. So we came up with a solution called 𝗓𝗓𝗡𝗓𝗡𝗓𝗓𝗡. So this is a digital online platform that enables healthcare institutions from small to large to access advanced revolutionary medical equipment through some innovative models, which we term therapy as a service model, where instead of the upfront costs of purchasing this equipment, these hospitals will only pay per procedure. This de-risks it. The second angle is that we cluster hospitals in the same geographical region, enabling hospitals in that cluster to be able to share this advanced medical equipment. This increases efficiency of this medical equipment and increasing access to services which otherwise will not have been available. And we also have a streamlined e-commerce and dropshipping platform that enables these healthcare institutions direct access to innovative medical device manufacturers, enabling them to acquire these vital products at the lowest costs available. So how does it work? From the platform, as we mentioned, we use something called health demand aggregation that clusters the hospitals, and using data analytics, we're able to identify their critical equipment needs and place this equipment that can be used in between these hospitals, increasing efficiency and increasing services. The e-commerce and drop shipping features, which optimizes logistics, meaning the cost of this equipment is reduced, making it accessible to hospitals. And we also have an asset financing crowdfunding wallet, which increases linkages of these healthcare institutions to various financiers to be able to acquire this equipment at low interest rates. So these are some of the equipments that we have been able to allow hospitals and clinics which use our platform to be able to access. Most of this equipment previously was not available in the country or in the region, with the one unique feature that all of this improves surgical outcomes, wound care outcomes, and we've had scenarios where hospitalization stay has been reduced by up to 70%. So the best outcomes, and this also increases revenue for the hospitals involved. So this is a market that is large, only in the East African region, which we're planning to expand to, where we see almost 275 million surgeries are performed annually. It's valued at $1.1 billion US, with a total addressable market of $78 million, which we're targeting for the next 3 years, at least 15% market share. There are over 50,000 hospitals which will be able to benefit from our platform and offer the best care for their patients. We use innovative ways to onboard the hospitals with structured training programs on how to use this equipment, meaning the surgeons are empowered, the doctors are empowered on the international standards of care, and also online marketing and online sales, and also have a team of well-trained medical sales representatives. We also participate in medical conferences where we train hospitals and administrators how to use the platform, how we integrate it with their systems. And we also offer for the smaller clinics a free inventory management system that enables them to utilize their equipment and also be able to understand stockouts and always have the equipment available. So our business model focuses on B2B institutions, from small specialized surgical clinics all the way to large referral hospitals. The therapy as a service model, where we charge only for the procedure, is on average 2% of the overall cost of the machinery, which is spread out over several years. And on the platform, we have over 80 products available also on the e-commerce, with an average price ranging of between $2 all the way to $2,000, with an average 40% margin for each product. Our customer acquisition cost is $280, primarily because it's B2B, but we have a huge lifetime values of over $60,000, increasing revenue for these institutions who use our platform. Our unique value of what we offer is the health demand aggregation, where we cluster the hospitals, allowing them to share this medical equipment, increasing the services, our procurement and equipment management services, and also the asset financing, which we have recently launched. So we have experienced steady revenue for the past 3 years, which for this year we've been able to break the $200,000 barrier, and we expect this to grow next year due to long-term contracts with the Defense Forces of Kenya and other hospitals, amongst others. So these are some of the traction. We've served over 136 facilities, which I've mentioned are different from specialized clinics to large hospitals, with us serving actually the largest public referral hospital in East Africa, Kenyatta National Hospital, 𝗤𝗡𝗡𝗅 Hospital, and a wide range of private clinics as well, and having onboarded an asset financing partner with over $600,000 in revenue in the past 2 years. We are a lean team with different skill sets, all the way from having a medical background to software, logistics, and training. And we will be well suited to be able to achieve our goals. So we are looking to raise $1 million. This will enable us to further improve our platform, onboard more manufacturers, enable us to reach out to more hospitals, the 10,000 hospitals that we are targeting, for further market expansion into the other East African countries, amongst others. And some of the investor benefits, of course, will be at a 3 to 5 year exit at around 18% profit. So we have a wide range of partners who we have worked with. For instance, Jackfruit Finance, who are the first to be in our asset financing wallet, and we're in advanced talks with other health financing institutions. And also Vilgro and various other partners that help us achieve our goal. So I'd invite you to join CliniBuilds, where we will be able to increase the access to advanced medical equipment, and we no longer need to send patients to India or Turkey, but have them treated right here and offer the best of care to our patients. Thank you.
Wow, thank you for that presentation. It's deep, and clearly, I think the audience can agree with me. Already, they're contributing towards employment, which impacts our economic growth and also eradicate poverty. And the exciting thing...
Good presentation. Couple of things. With Unified African Pathology, it's quite clear that for you to be they have a competitive advantage, because to get into that space, you need to have licensing, and you need to have the same level of collaboration between different pathologists all over the Africa. I'm not quite sure about your case. What's your core competence? What would prevent somebody with deeper pockets than you coming and doing exactly what you're doing? That's the first question. The second one is, there's always a danger. So I'd be interested to see why you thought there were synergies between medical leasing and asset finance. Because there's always a danger when you do too many things, then you lose focus. And you cannot build the capabilities that you need to do what you actually need to do to succeed as a business.
So to address that, the first question on the competitive advantage, you find that with our platform, it offers something unique that most of the medical device manufacturers who place their products will see the benefit they have of easily having the products being used by the hospitals that are available. And for all that use, we have long-term exclusive contracts that basically would lock out anyone to be able to do the same thing that we are doing due to the exclusivity, and also what we do with the health demand aggregation and simulation is unique, that no other company is currently doing it. So, of course, there is always a challenge of competition, but we would have the first movers advantage, and what we offer with the hospitals and the healthcare centers would be harder to change because we also sign long-term contracts with them. On the second, perhaps you could remind the second question.
No, just going back to what you, just going back to the point you're saying, long-term contracts don't necessarily protect you from competitors, because somebody with more money will come in and will buy you out. So you've got to think about that. The question I was asking, the second question was, I'm not really sure what the synergies were between leasing of equipment and asset finance.
Yes, so why we have these two products, because we noted that most of the smaller specialized clinics prefer the leasing model, but we have some of the more financially stable hospitals that use the platform who would want to acquire the equipment long term. So for them, they prefer to be able to have a flexible payment model to acquire this equipment. And the additional thing that we offer for the hospitals that acquire this equipment, some of them still place the equipment in our leasing platform, so they're able to get additional revenue. Where we've seen a surgeon who has his own clinic acquires this equipment, but is not using it all the time. So instead of it being idle, he's able to still use the platform, and it can be used by other surgeons in the same cluster. So basically increasing the efficiency, earning more revenue for him as well. Or her, yeah.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. So I believe, Prof, when you're talking about protection, probably you're alluding to the IPR, the intellectual property rights. So
yes. I mean, one of the things that you have to think about if you're a small business or if you're a small startup is how do you protect your idea? Quite often there's a misconception that if I have, say, for example, first mover advantage, which is absolutely fine, but then you look at, I'll give you a very quick example. Look at, if you think about music and portability, what do you think about? You think about Apple, but Apple were not the people who started that. You had Sony Walkman. You think about digital cameras, what do you think about? You think about somebody else apart from Kodak. Kodak started that in 1978. So you can have first mover advantage, but you need to be able to do what she's saying. How do you protect your ideas? How do you protect your ideas? Not just in terms of the legal protection, but thinking about building capabilities, knowledge, skills, collaborations, partnerships, and the team around you that will be able to prevent somebody else with deeper pockets coming in and saying, I'll go to this hospital and I'll give them 20 million, buy you out. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Prof. As I said, for those who are pitching the startups, conversation continues. So look for Prof, look for the panelists, and we have people here that will really help you just put together all these things. So allow me to welcome Caroline to continue.
Thank you, Fanis. It's going well. We have our next presenter up. That is 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗞 Limited, and then on standby. Thank you. And then let's have IntelliWealth and Agri-Tech Analytics ready as well. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Baraka, and I'm part of the Tanzanian delegation here with you today. So I do know it is almost 1 p.m. on a Friday afternoon, but I intend to use these 360 seconds to tell you a bit about us and what we do. Quick show of hands. How many here have been to Tanzania? All right, so a lot of us. And for those who have been, I'm pretty sure the last time you purchased something, the vendor gave you a receipt looking like this, a thermal, faded away piece of paper, which most businesses today struggle to use to keep their records. So what 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗞 does, the product we have brought to you today, is a way to digitize record keeping for small businesses and help them to be tax compliant. To give some context, the law requires Tanzanian businesses to issue tax receipts similar to this, and I believe KRA required the same as well. But that was always through a machine similar to this, which, as you may know, is not portable, hard to carry. So we made an app, a web app that allows businesses all across Tanzania with an internet connection to comply with tax laws by issuing receipts from anywhere they are anytime they want. We were one of the first to initiate this, and we are proud to say that we have been in the market and are currently profitable. But then what problems are we really solving here? The first thing, as I mentioned earlier, is that tax compliance is one of the most cumbersome things, not only facing Tanzania, but I can imagine many Commonwealth countries in this part of the world. So record keeping has become one of the key things for small businesses who struggle with that. Unlike other technologies, medtech, agri-tech, taxes are quite sensitive for small businesses, so lack of systems to comply with your tax laws and also use your data to make financial decisions make it hard. So the solution we brought was a cost-effective replacement for hardware similar to this. This machine I hold here today costs roughly $250, $300. I'll use dollars because Tanzanian shillings might not apply here. Our solution has a simple $70 setup fee and $20 annual subscription. We integrate with your accounting system, so we're not competing with QuickBooks. We integrate with local vendors, allowing you direct access to submit your data in real time. We also make sure we follow the latest security protocols. Hence, the business owner is the person who controls their submissions to the tax authority. Now, I'll quickly go through these slides, taking into account I would like to get some feedback from the judges. But what sets us apart from anyone else coming and having a separate integration? First of all, we are regulated by our tax authorities. So we are recognized as a vendor for a similar solution. Secondly, we don't only focus on smartphones, we don't only focus on internet devices, but we are reaching areas, businesses outside of the core business centers who are using your dumb phones. I call them vitochi in Swahili. So you can issue your invoices via USSD, and you can access your reports later. We also, as I mentioned, integrate with your accounting software. So you don't really need to issue the same invoice on your PC and later through our app. It is all integrated. And lastly, we also account for multiple currencies, multiple languages, taking into fact that not every business in Tanzania speaks English as their core language. What's our business model? So as I mentioned earlier as well, we are a software as a service provider. This means that we charge a subscription, $20 per annum. We find to be a good spot for many businesses. And also we have an integration fee that helps us recover some of our initial development costs. So how do we approach our market? Right now, the main solution we're fixing is tax compliance through invoicing. But we get a lot of data. And that is where I believe a lot of the value is. And that's where I believe we can help small businesses understand their data and make better decisions. I'll give you guys an example. We have an integration right now with one of the largest banks in Tanzania, where they have an offer to the businesses using our platform to issue credit. We are not selling that product, but it's just an example of the different verticals that can come out of a solution just like this one. So some numbers about the app. We have 2,000 clients. 90% of our clients have renewed their subscription, so that's good news. We also have strong partnerships, legal partnerships with the government, legal partnerships with distributors, with the banks, with the MNOs. The main challenge that we face is reaching people and scaling outside of the businesses we work with. So we're using these contracts as a way to distribute and reach other people from everywhere, and also gives us a competitive advantage. The two people you see in front of you today are the two founders, but we have a team of about 6 people. I, Baraka, am a tax consultant, and I run an accounting practice in Tanzania. So it gives me a lot of insight in different businesses and also a lot of insight in the problems people face. Янez is my CTO, also a schoolmate of mine, who has a strong background in software engineering and is part of our founding team. The numbers, how do they look like? So the graph here details how we're doing right now. We project to have revenues close to $20,000 this year, but we feel that with some support, with guidance, with funding, we can reach more. We're servicing mostly the Dar es Salaam area, which is the business capital, and I feel that there's a lot of low-hanging fruits out there. We expect to grow much, much faster if we can reach those guys. And the ask we have today is not only financial. I've put $100,000. This will allow us to reach other regions, to allow us to market and cross-sell our product. Taking into account we already have relationships with banks and distribution agents. But we also ask for partnerships. Why do I say so? I don't think this problem is a Tanzania-only problem. I feel like this is something that can be valuable to other communities, to other economies. And I feel that having the right partner, the right relationships with the governments here in Kenya, in Uganda, would be a lot of value for us. So in summary, I am Baraka, a tax consultant and a founder of Simplify or SimplyTech Limited. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Baraka. And you have completed your presentation in 5 minutes, so thank you very much. You're helping us to save time. To further save time, we shall be taking just one question, possibly 2, because we have an extra minute for Baraka. Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good presentation. I think that solves a real problem. My question would be, what is the cost? What is it? Because it's a recurrent subscription-based onboarding and subscription. So for many SMEs, they will probably look at this and think, let me just buy the box or the machine and I don't have to pay after that, right? Just buy the reams to replace. So what is the cost relative to buying the machine and the subscription? Is it similar cost? Is it like maybe a fraction? What is the relative cost in terms of that?
So using relative numbers, our cost is 30% of the machine cost, but that's not only the saving you have. The penalty in Tanzania for not issuing the right receipt is about $1,800 per receipt. And that's a big cost that people struggle with this, because this uses a SIM card to submit data and they can never reconcile. So the first assurance we give is through increased transparency using our platform. You can track your sales and you cannot make any mistakes and you can pick them up, but also you save on the hardware cost, as I mentioned, 30%, the paper cost. Every time you have to upgrade the firmware on this, you pay another $30. We don't charge for that. We don't charge for any modifications. It's all covered in the annual subscription.
Saying is that over 3 years, they will be able to recover that investment. So
absolutely, yeah.
That's all the consumables and so forth, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Baraka.
Hello.
Thank you as well for your presentation. My question is around data privacy, and I'm just wondering if you have considered it, because obviously not only just for yourselves or for the businesses, but if you're issuing receipts, then obviously you're going to be collecting a lot of personal data. And so how do you handle that?
That's a great question, and it's something that we have actually had to incorporate even at the back-end level. I say this because first, taxes are sensitive, and legally taxes are the taxpayers' private information. So we have considered that. And also, you look at some of the clients we have, we don't only approach B2C, like the SMEs, B2B, but smaller business, but we also have APIs with corporates. Time didn't allow me to talk about our API strategy. I'll give you an example. Coca-Cola Tanzania uses our API for their receipts across the truck. So instead of having 200 trucks with each machine just like this, rechargeable, they're using our items. So that's just an example. So we have to be very careful with our data, given the sensitivity of what we're doing here. Thank you.
So your platform is an app. Is it an app? Or
So,
how do people access it?
So we have multiple channels. We have the web app. We have an Android app. We're still working on iOS right now. And then we also have USSD. We have an API. And we're not trying to integrate it with WhatsApp. So a business can just issue a tax invoice via WhatsApp chatbot and you get a PDF. So multiple distribution channels.
Thank you.
Great. A big hand for him. Okay. You're not a judge. Oh, you are? Okay. Great. Please share your name, because you weren't here earlier.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry,
And you only have
well,
30 seconds.
Okay. My name is Kenneth Kinyanjui. I'm in Startups and Innovation. Baraka, question. Yeah, so have you been able to identify your customer cluster in terms of, you've given a number of businesses, but definitely there's obviously a sweet spot of revenues in terms of which businesses can onboard. The other thing is, if you look at Kenya, we got the machines about a year, and then this regulation changed to an e-Teams platform, and you can actually issue the receipts online also in Kenya. So what are you looking at in terms of regulations changing for you in Tanzania and also tackling the other markets?
So we saw that coming because nothing is stopping the government in Tanzania from doing the same thing, hence why we added more distribution channels, and hence why we are trying to look for ways we can use the data to help the small businesses. So that's something we are looking at as part of this request for partnerships, but also adding more features, because the same taxpayer would also need to do their payroll, make tax payments, and also comply with other like VAT laws. That can be built across this. So we are also racing against that risk as well.
Okay, thank you very much. A big hand for him. Great. So that was IntelliWealth. Up next, we have Agritech Analytics. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm here this afternoon because I desire to end hunger in Africa. So my name is 𝗜𝗡𝗡𝗞𝗓𝗓 Gishanga. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Agritech Analytics, a company in Nairobi, Kenya. So I grew up in a 2-hectare piece of land with my 7 siblings, and my parents were farmers. Throughout our lives, they raised and educated us using the produce of that farm, but today the same farm cannot sustain them. And this is due to climate change, soil degradation, and poor farming methods. But my parents are not alone. Along with 7.5 million smallholder farmers in Kenya, these are the problems that they are facing. Low crop yield as a result of late detection of crop pests and diseases, 65% of the land that we are using is already soil degraded. 98% of these farmers are counting on unreliable rainfall to grow their crop, and they're not able to understand the progress of their crop or the health of their soil. So for us to guarantee these farmers an over 95% accuracy on the alerts and reports we send them, we combined satellite imagery data analytics and data from a proprietary IoT sensor to detect and halt soil degradation, crop pests, and diseases to increase yields. And this is how innovation works. So we install the device into the farm to start performing analysis. On the ground level, it checks on the leaves and stems to check on any pest or disease. On the root level, it looks at the soil health parameters like NPK, moisture levels, temperature, and pH. We also electronically map the farm into the system so that satellite data starts streaming in. We are going to analyze and interpret this data, and a farmer receives a simple text on their phone. Of the context of these texts would be any crop pest or disease affecting the farm, soil type and fertility levels, the quantities and amount of the quality and quantity of fertilizer, pesticide, or herbicide to use, a well-calculated accurate yield prediction, weed attack alerts, and a 14-day weather forecasting for planning. That's an example of a text. These are the SDGs that we support, with zero hunger being the major one, followed by no poverty. We've been able to acquire close to 4,000 farmers this year. We are looking to get to 15,000 by next year. We are going to get to this by leveraging the use of farmer cooperatives, women groups, county government offices, and local agrovet shops. On our value proposition, we are the first company in Africa to be able to combine soil health sensors, crop pest and disease sensors into one. So when a farmer is using our innovation, they don't need multiple sensors. We've also been able to successfully combine satellite data, analytics, and data from our IoT sensor to provide accurate data. And this one is supported by the fact that 98 farmers have already acquired loan facilities to tunes of 13,900 from SACCOs. We've also been able to send over 340,000 SMSs in a span of 6 months to farmers. We are able to detect 63 types of pests, 51 types of diseases in real time, and calculate soil health parameters to give the farmers precise inputs. On our revenue model, we lease the device to the farmers at $3.5 in a month. We could also sell the device at $28. We are looking to increasing our revenue models by hosting existing third-party IoT devices. Integration is already going on in our systems, and also data commercialization once we hit the 6,000 mark. On our financial growth, that is how it has been looking like, and we are loving the progress. We are asking for $75,000 that will help us increase the diseases and pest detectables, onboard 20,000 new farmers, and also increase sustainability by providing new jobs. This will not be possible without an able team of different disciplines that helps us bring the innovation to life. On our impact, we've been able to help these farmers increase on their yields by 47% for using our innovation in 6 months, and over 75% by using our innovation in a year. We've reduced their farm input cost by 65%, detected pests and diseases early, and reclaimed over 11,000 hectares of land from soil degradation. We have amazing partners that are helping us to achieve our goal. And I want to give you a little achievement that we've made with the University of Edinburgh in the UK. So we are in a program with them for 6 months. We started this year in September. We are going to be ending it in April next year. And through them, we've been able to do a pilot with 28 farmers in Scotland. This means that our innovation is replicable all over the world. Those are images of how we meet the farms and those beautiful faces of the women's faces once they have used the innovation. Join us as we end hunger in Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marianne, and thank you also for keeping time. So over to our judges to share their feedback and or questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Marianne. Quite a conclusive presentation. 2 questions. What is your cost of acquiring a customer, and are you profitable? And the other one is, are you looking to go through accelerator, or you just want an investor who just brings in the money? What value are you looking for apart from the money, basically? The third question, are you working with Climate Edge? It's a company in Tanzania and Kenya. They're almost doing similar thing. And are you also working with, it's a university, I'll give you the contacts. They basically have the IoT devices, yeah.
Okay. So thank you for your questions. Yes, we are profitable. We broke even early this year. Our cost of acquisition of a customer is something a little bit less than 500 bob, and that is because we use farmer cooperatives and women groups mostly. That means that our marketing cost is really cut because we meet the farmers once they're already settled, like they're united in a common cause. Your other question is, yes, we work with universities. We are working with the MIT, currently with the University of Edinburgh. We also have partnerships with Jomo Kenyatta University and 𝗜𝗓𝗡. 𝗜𝗓𝗡 for their IT analysts and staff, Jomo Kenyatta for agronomists. So yes, we are working with a lot of partners. And we are looking for, we are going to start raising next year. We are working on that with our advisors. So currently we are just working with grants and partnerships that will help us to really improve on our deliverables.
Thank you. Faith, you can go ahead.
Okay, great. So I just wanted to ask, how do you ensure data accuracy and reliability in a very diverse agriculture field?
Okay, so some of the special features of our innovation is that our IoT device is solar powered, so it doesn't really rely on whether there's electricity or not. It is also GSM enabled, meaning we do not have to rely on internet connectivity. Luckily, our government is very keen on getting internet connectivity to mashinani, but that does not really stop us from developing our innovation. And thirdly, when we were starting, we started with an IoT device only, but we quickly realized that it has a margin of error of 10 to 15%, and that is why we incorporated AI satellite imagery data. The satellite imagery data is of course AI enabled, and it also has 20 years prior of data of a particular farm. So what it means is that once our device is installed in the farm and your farm is mapped into the system, the satellite data that is coming has historical data of what has been happening in a particular farm, meaning we are also able to advise a farmer on, let's say you're doing carrots in a particular farm, but from the historical data that we have, potatoes would do better there or cabbages would do better. So we also advise the farmers on how to improve on their yields, as opposed to just working with them with what they have. We can also advise them.
Okay. Thank you much for your presentation, Agritech. Thank you for the feedback from the panelists. We really appreciate. And now I want to call the next presenter. If I don't get your name right, you have a chance to share with us. That's 𝗜𝗡𝗡𝗞 Consulting Limited, which will be followed by Kalium. So make sure you sit close, followed by 𝗖𝗢𝗠𝗪𝗧. So in that order. So 𝗜𝗡𝗡𝗡𝗞, please come to the stage. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I know you have you have wondered how visually and hearing impaired learners access and enjoy educational digital content. My name is Joan Muse, and I'm a co-founder at Uptake Education.
Good afternoon. My name is Lillian Dezion. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Uptake Education, where we are building and making accessible digital learning content for millions of learners with hearing, visually impaired, and also with learning disabilities. Thank you.
So this goes back and this goes forward.
Sorry for that, technical challenges we learn every day. Meet Kendi. Kendi is a visually impaired learner in the heart of the Tharaka-Nithi County. Kendi loves to learn, but Kendi has challenges accessing digital education content in formats she can interact with. An encounter with Kendi made me realize the many challenges learners like Kendi face and those learners with learning disabilities. As such, digital content already exists. However, it doesn't exist for curriculums in accessible formats. What do I mean? For instance, like a learner like Kendi, she loves to learn, but when she goes online, the content that is there is not for education content, for curriculums. For instance, the competency-based curriculum lacks captions, audio descriptions for images and text. It also lacks sign language for learners who are hearing impaired, and for the visually impaired learners, the content lacks audio description. As such, these learners are not able to consume this information because it's not in formats they can interact with. So we build it, a platform with accessible digital education content in the formats that these learners can interact and access. For instance, for a learner like Kendi, who is visually impaired, she cannot see, but she can hear and follow through. And then also the content is adaptable for formats that the software they use for the hearing and the visually impaired is accessible to them. Now that's exciting, but what is more exciting for us is the adoption of blended learning forms in schools. For instance, we've been able to notice a 20% increase in daily engagement on our platform, and that has ended up as a result, we have been able to track a 40% increase in the performance of these learners who engage on our platform on a day-to-day basis. This is how the platform works. We've been able to onboard, we've been able to embed graphically enhanced content. We have text, sound, images, audio narration, and sign language interpretation on our platform. Yeah, that's how it goes. And we are happy that it is working. That was a visual representation of how the platform works. So far, we've been able to serve over 100 schools who are enrolled on our platform. And as a result, we have an end user of about 10,000 students enrolled on our platform. And we are also looking to onboard more schools on our platform in the next coming years. And these learners are able to enjoy KICD-approved learning content between grades 1 to 6 so far. And we are also looking in the next 2 years to transition into the junior secondary schools and offer learning content for grade 7, 8, and 9. Now, that is exciting for us. But what is more exciting is we have an opportunity to meet the needs of about 14 million learners in Kenya who are enrolled in the primary and secondary schools in the country. And in the next coming years, we are able also to bring our product to other markets in Africa. This is how our business model looks like. Schools are happy to pay us to become their providers of digital learning content by offering a subscription-based model per user, per learning area. And also, what is more exciting for us is the unit economics. We are able to acquire all the end users at positive economics. What I mean by this is that for every school we sign up, we are able to enroll the parents of those users and who come to us to provide extra learning curricular support for their learners at home. So we are able to kill two birds with one stone, enroll the schools and also get the parents to sign up on our platform on behalf of their students. We do not exist alone. We have competitors, but what makes us different is we script our content from scratch, therefore tailoring it to the unique needs of these learners with learning disabilities. Uptake is made with a team full of love. We have skills in curriculum development, software engineering, business development, and other teams who work with us to make Uptake an exciting platform for learners. We have a plan to scale our business by offering more learning areas, onboarding another team to help us do this, and also we seek to onboard other partners on our platform. We wish to invite potential investors into our business to help us scale our business and also offer more products and onboard more schools and parents onto our platform. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So we'll have a question or comment from one of the judges. If you do it real fast, we might get two, but let's start with Yvonne.
Okay, so I need to speak really quickly. Thank you so much, Lilian, for this presentation. I think it's amazing what you're doing, so well done, kudos. Just two quick questions. One is, if you would, so actually just one question and a comment. One is, if you describe your typical school customer, because you've said the schools that actually sign up and subscribe for this. I'd just like to know who they are, because my understanding, and I could be wrong, is a lot of the schools that take in children with learning disabilities are not necessarily mainstream schools. So I'm actually wondering where they even get the money to pay you. And so to build on that, a consideration, I don't know if you've thought of this just yet, is there are potential partners when it comes to governments or development organizations who possibly could help de-risk a lot of the work that you're doing and subsidize the cost there, that you could actually consider, and who might be a better customer in quotes for you than the users themselves. And then I'm just curious, how does this platform actually convert the education curriculum into the captions that are needed? From what I see, even from simple YouTube, you're watching something and the captions are, you're like, this is not what this person is saying. So how do you ensure the accuracy of the content?
I will respond to some of the questions, and my co-founder will respond on the others. So I'll start with your last question, how the captions work. So for each learning disability, for instance, I'll tackle the blind students. So you can imagine them, they are not seeing, but they are hearing. So we create this content for them with audio narration for curriculums. So for instance, whatever curriculum that we create, we have an audio narration that describes the content that we are presenting to them. It covers the syllabus, it covers the assessments, and also the way we package this content, we use softwares that the learners who are blind are able to consume even on a computer by, for example, some softwares such as text-to-speech, so they're able to read through what is in the device and it's translated to them. Yes.
Thank you, Lillian. I'll respond on the question of how we are able to stay afloat or monetize, given that the opportunity in the field that we are working with is not for mainstream schools. So we identified these schools and some of these teachers in those schools, and we've managed to partner with them, and also government in terms of the digital content that they're distributing in the blended schools. And we are seeking to work with more partners, especially in also NGOs who are doing such projects like 𝗘𝗓𝗓𝗪𝗓 Blind Trust. We are having conversations because they distribute devices and we shall provide content. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's give them a big hand. Great. Okay, so we know that there's the closing ceremony that will be taking place at 2, and so we need to go really fast. So I think we only have time for 2 more, so please bear with us. We are trying to accommodate as many of the startups as possible, but looking at the time, that doesn't wait for us or doesn't wait for man. We'll just have to do 2 more. And so I'd like to call up Galam Technologies, please, to come up. And we will have a session with those who are left. What we're planning to do is to have a virtual session with them so that still they do go through their pitches. And I can see CEO of ASEC, Mercy, here. So I'd like to hand over the session to her. I need to go and pick up a little person straight after this, so I'll be leaving you. But it's been a pleasure moderating the session, and I look forward to meeting with you in the conference next year. Thank you very much.
Caroline, thank you so much. She's also my board member in charge of membership support and growth, so thank you so much for supporting this. My name is Mercy 𝗘𝗓𝗓𝗪 from ASEC. So a change in the program. And you know, with entrepreneurship, things are always changing, right? So we want to bring the real scenario right here in the room. You only have 4 minutes to pitch. And for the judges, you only have 1 question to ask. So it's also time to collaborate amongst each other and see which question will go, because that's how we're going to move and to ensure that everyone also has a chance to pitch. But I wish you all the best, my dear.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Esther Mweni. I am the co-founder and product lead of Knock Knock, where we build products to help the deaf navigate the sound environment. So we live in a sound-dominated world. We live in a sound-dominated world where sounds are an important part of our everyday interaction, whether it's in terms of conversations, whether it's in terms of alerting, emergency notifications, and whatnot. 20% of the world population does not have the luxury of enjoying these sounds, which means 1.56 billion people in the world who experience hearing loss are excluded from the sound environment. Why? Because there are no affordable and customizable solutions to help these deaf individuals be able to navigate the different sounds that are happening around them. And the existing solutions like hearing aids are not affordable, especially for the African population. We at Knock Knock have built a solution to this, where we have a gadget that's able to pick different sounds from the environment and translate it in a way that's understandable to the persons with hearing loss in form of haptic and visual notifications. So our application, our system has 2 main parts. One is a physical gadget, and the second is a mobile application. What Knock Knock does is help the deaf persons and persons with hearing loss navigate the sound environment confidently and comfortably using vibrations and visual alerts, something that we have adopted from the already existing deaf culture. We started Knock Knock in March 2022, and over the period, we have done market research, did our very first pilot, and made ourselves early this year, one with a partnership through Kenyatta University. So our focus is on 2 main sounds. One is the sound of a door being knocked, and the second is the sound of a school bell ringing, specifically in schools for the deaf in Kenya, and also integrated institutions. With these
two solutions. We are looking at two different revenue models. One is through the sale of the gadget, and the second is a subscription model. Through the sale of the physical gadgets, we are subsidizing the cost and enabling it to reach low-income areas through a leasing model, or as we Kenyans call it, lipa mdogo mdogo. And in addition to this, we are also partnering with organizations and institutions that work with the deaf to subsidize the cost of this. We estimate that we will be able to reach $1 million in revenue with a sale of 16,000 units within the first 2 years. This means that we only need to sell 16,000, we only need 16,000 users to become a $1 million company. And in Kenya alone, there are 717,000 deaf persons with hearing loss and 136 million in Africa. And our goal is to reach all this population. This is the team that's building Knock Knock. We have expertise both in the deaf culture and in IoT, which is the main technology that we are using, with one of our co-founders having worked as a sign language interpreter for over 7 years. So we are looking for partners and funders that will help us bring inclusivity to Kenya and to Africa with a specific target on people who have a passion for the deaf culture and also assistive technology. Thank you.
Thank you, 𝗓𝗓𝗡 Technologies. So to one of the judges, I'm sure you've coordinated. Prof, you can go ahead.
It's quite interesting in what you're saying. What I'm still not clear on is your collaborations and your pipeline for innovations. Could you talk to us about that a little bit?
In terms of collaborations, one of the ways that we are working with organizations is to be able to procure this device and present it to the deaf population at a very subsidized cost, because the technology we are using is IoT, Internet of Things, which is a bit costly, and our main goal is to be able to find a solution that's affordable for the African population. So the next iteration that we're looking at is in terms of integrating an artificial intelligence aspect in it. This means that the application that we are building will be able to customize it in a way that it can even provide different types of sounds to these deaf persons, whether it's in terms of maybe a baby crying or an alarm system and whatnot. So it's able to interpret this sound for the deaf person.
With me a little bit later, then we can talk about some of the issues around artificial intelligence generation of sounds with things like music LM.
All right, so I would love that. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, 𝗓𝗓𝗡 Technologies. So we have 𝗖𝗓𝗪𝗧. Let's clap for her. We have 𝗖𝗓𝗪𝗧, Drop Access, 𝗓𝗓𝗪𝗧 come in that order. Hope you are here, because when you delay coming on the stage, that means you're using your time. 4 minutes.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. My name is 𝗜𝗢𝗪𝗧𝗖𝗛. I'm the founder and CEO of 𝗖𝗓𝗪𝗧. 3 years ago, I was teaching STEM and robotics to students in the country. And I first interacted with deaf students. The only mode of communication that we had was a sign language interpreter. We only had 2 of them. And this proved to us that the demand for sign language interpretation in that training was not ideal. And we resorted to exchanging notes in pen and paper. And the demand, so this was not ideal, forcing us to exchange notes. And currently, the problems that we identified was communication barriers. So the deaf community relies on communication to access education, healthcare, and the other essential services that we depend on as the lifeline for us as human beings. And as I witnessed this struggle firsthand, I couldn't help but imagine what happens when a deaf individual goes to a medical health practitioner who does not understand the deaf culture, or rather sign language. And two, the high cost of interpretation. It costs roughly 2,500 shillings per hour to have a sign language interpreter interpret for you, which is expensive for this economy. And three, there's less that has been done in terms of curating solutions that are deaf optimized for assistive technologies. So let me show you what we've built. We've built an AI software that interprets sign language. So how this works is through text input, voice input, it's able to capture that, and relay an output of sign language motion, bridging that seamlessly. In terms of market sizing, currently WHO estimates that we've got a population of over 466 million, and by 2050 this number is expected to grow to 1 billion plus. And parallel markets, like the American Sign Language markets, it's as big as $10 billion, which includes sign language interpretation, the job market for that, and translation services. And we're estimating a potential of 100 million in Africa, and this is research that has been done by Forbes and Gallaudet University in the US. In terms of our revenue model, we're looking at a software as a service, B2B2C, and we are selling our software to our clients, hospitals, healthcare, education, online platforms, talk of websites, digitizing that information and making it accessible in visual, sign language, motion. And in future, we're looking at API licensing to these clients, and that is a recurrent income revenue to our clients that want to enhance accessibility. We're not the only ones who are solving this issue. Currently, we've got gloves that have been built to solve sign language. What they miss is just capturing the essence of sign language, which involves facial expressions, body movements, and how we are doing this. We've built this to enable two-way communication. In our future pipeline, of course, to bring in other sign language dialects, and it's also customer-centric in nature. Our roadmap, we've built the MVP, it's working. We've worked with the two communities in Kenya and Uganda to further optimize it for them. Moving forward, we're looking to acquire motion capture technologies to help us fast-track capturing the sign language data that we're going to push into our model. And we are a team of young, driven ecosystem from deaf advocacy. We've got deaf people in our team, also AI researchers, software engineering, and we're also being backed by a strong advisory from disability over 20 years, and also sustainability. We've been named among the top 11 innovations in Africa in AI by Vilgro Africa, and we've also been recently honored by the Commonwealth Secretary General Award for Sustainable Development. What we're looking for 100,000 to help us build our technology infrastructure, primarily motion capture, which is really critical in the next steps of our technology development. These are the SDGs that you're solving, and if you're really excited about what you're building, you're very welcome to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Signverse. Thank you, Signverse, for that clarity. A question from the judges, one. And yeah, of course, if there's a need to respond, 30 seconds. Yeah.
Mine is a quick question. So how are you incorporating, because there are different sign languages and stuff, how are you incorporating the different dialects, different types of sign languages? And also, of course, I like the fact that you think about AI, but how are you making sure that the AI, the data sets that you're using are not biased, because they're traditionally biased data sets when you use large language models?
Thank you for that question. So to the first question, we've collected sign language data primarily in Kenya, and we're making it diverse from different communities to capture the different nuances and basically the diverse nature, and it's a growing language. And to the second question, the resource we're actually looking for right now, sign language, that mock-up. That mock-up, it's a plug-and-play tool that can help us generate sign language data in mock-up form quicker, faster. That means even moving to a different region, be it Uganda, Tanzania, or any other sign language dialect, becomes quicker and very fast to pump out. And in terms of AI, building the data set, SEM tool will help us do that. Yeah. Currently, we've been doing it manually, but we just want to further automate that process.
A very quick follow-up question for everyone presenting. The question you've got to ask yourself is, what's preventing somebody else from doing exactly what you're doing? That should be the topmost of everybody's mind.
Okay, thank you. You don't need to respond to that. There's a conversation that will continue. Okay, so we go to drop access. Damusasa, 4 minutes, strictly 4 minutes.
My name is Nora Magero. A few years ago, I gave birth to my daughter, and I was living in a rural community in eastern Kenya. And I faced a few challenges trying to get her vaccinated. I'll take her to the clinic, and I'll be turned away. The vaccines had spoiled, or they're simply not available. Why? There had been blackouts a few days, and I wasn't the only woman facing this. So I started my company, Drop Access. We're a women-led manufacturer in Kenya. We manufacture solar-powered, portable, IoT-enabled cold chain technology. And if you look at the larger market size, we find like over 1 billion people who live in areas that do not have access to electricity, hence they lack cold chain, and they're at risk of healthcare. And most of this market is actually in Africa. And the aftermath is that there's so many vaccines that go to waste, and there's so many children who suffer from vaccine-preventable diseases, while 500,000 die within the continent each and every single year. So my solution to this is called VaxiBox. VaxiBox is a portable, solar-powered, IoT-enabled healthcare refrigerator. So portable that you can simply take the refrigerator, mount it on a motorbike, a bicycle, or even a boat, so that these heat-sensitive medical items like vaccines, oxytocin, blood for transfusion can be quickly deployed to remote healthcare facilities or even villages, so that anybody who needs access to healthcare can access them irrespective of where they are. But our biggest value proposition is that this is an IoT fridge. It's a 360 solution. It's a portable fridge that is solar-powered, but also has our own PCB board that is embedded in the fridge to monitor the fridge, the temperature, where the fridge goes, the stock inside the fridge, what's being issued, and also we're building traceability models as well as monitoring for healthcare programs and services. So the market opportunity is large. If you think of all the people who don't have access to electricity, but also the healthcare facilities cannot afford to buy a fridge to store the vaccines and other medical products. Our business model is B2B and B2G. So B2G is all the public healthcare facilities and the government facilities, and the B2B are the clinics, the private clinics, the vets, the delivery centers, that store heat-sensitive medical items. We manufacture VaxiBox and sell it at a 41% profit margin. As a small manufacturer, our profit margin is at 41% today, but the bigger opportunity here is large-scale manufacturing to reduce our cost and increase our profit margin. But then the WHO pre-qualification will guarantee like 1,000% market growth, and also with things like cooling as a service, we get to have recurring revenues and make our business sustainable. The already established players in the market, all from abroad. All these fridges are actually shipped into the country. But you can see VaxiBox is the only African technology that is fit for purpose. So far we're in 35 healthcare facilities in Kenya, and we have so many partners, and we reduce costs and reduce carbon emissions for healthcare facilities. We are in the 3rd generation of VaxiBox that has a petty patent, and we've officially requested for an international patent as well as the WHO pre-qualification. And just recently, Makueni County renewed its MOU with us and gave us an order of 100 VaxiBox refrigerators into 2024. We're seeking 1M financing. We've already raised 100K in a non-diluted grant. The 30K is going to be in a convertible note, and the rest is going to be grant to just give us the edge for R&D, help us acquire the WHO and increase our market opportunity, but also give us runway. So we're inviting you to join this audacious path with the Drop Access to make the first WHO pre-qualified African refrigerator, and we build this together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Time, treasure, talent. We have to just see how we can work with the three T's. Thank you. Allow me to welcome Mercy, the CEO, just to continue. Probably if you have a chance for a question, Mercy will facilitate that. Thank you very much for being patient. Okay, Mercy, please.
Thank you so much. You know, there's one thing that we did with the startups. We told them to be ready for anything, right? So I want to call the rest of the startups to come. You can have a seat here, Nora. The ones who have not pitched, I really want to give them a chance to do a 1-minute pitch. Right? Yeah, you're ready. I love that. Let's clap for him. So this is 𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗪𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓.
Thank you. I'll try to be as fast as possible in 1 minute. My name is Aaron Ogunde. I'm the co-founder and CEO of 𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓. At 𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓, one of the biggest problems we're solving in the healthcare ecosystem is to integrate hospital supply chains into one massive supply chain so that we can shorten the lead times for patients receiving needed medical products, specifically blood products. So we're helping hospitals to collaborate seamlessly through one platform, enabling them to exchange medical products amongst one another. Currently, we're integrated into 180 hospitals in Kenya and now growing to Tanzania. As you can see, we actually also deploy applications, mobile applications for members of the public, which are free for the members of the public. For the hospitals, we deploy a web-based system and an Android-based system for them to use. Our business model is a software as a service model, where hospitals pay an annual subscription to use the platform. We're currently looking to improve or grow our market share to 300 hospitals by the end of 2024 and grow our revenue to 200,000 plus. And this is coming from 2022, where we closed with $80,000 in revenue, and 2023 we're set to close at about $150,000. We would like to grow that to 200. Thank you very much.
I love the energy. Great. Next we have Sheria. Wonderful. Let's give her a round of applause. Lovely smile.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Neema Magimba, and I'm one of the co-founders and the head of legal for Sheria Kiganjani, Swahili for law on your palm. 22 million people in Tanzania cannot access justice easily and affordably because of geographical and financial constraints. 87% of lawyers are in urban areas, leaving out a vast number of people in rural areas without access to their services. Now, we believe that everyone has the right to access justice easily and affordably, and this is why we developed Sheria Kiganjani, which is Tanzania's very first legal tech platform, providing easily accessible and affordable legal services to low and middle income earners through their mobile phones. Through our platform, users are able to talk and chat with lawyers 24/7. Users are able to get connected to lawyers who are closest to where they are. Users are able to formalize their businesses directly through our platform, making us a one-stop shop. Understanding that 90% of the laws in Tanzania are in English language and majority of Tanzanians speak Swahili, we've developed over 8,000 questions and answers which simplify complex provisions of the law, all in Swahili language. Now, we have a B2B and a B2C business model. Through the B2C, we allow our users to subscribe for a daily, weekly, or monthly subscription. Lawyers listed on our platform also pay a monthly or annual subscription, but we also charge for the legal documents available on our platform. Through the B2B, we enable other partners who are working towards access to justice to be able to digitize their services by providing different solutions to them. Being the very first legal tech platform in Tanzania, our number one competitive advantage is that we are a one-stop shop center. Our services are provided in Swahili language, but also we are available in different platforms. We are profitable. We've been able to generate over $500,000 in the last 3 months in form of revenue, but we see that growing. By 2026, we foresee to generate over $700,000 in revenue. All right, we are asked.
Thank you so much. We have seen the money, right? We are coming for the money. Thank you. Asante sana. The next one we have is Shamba Pride. Shamba Pride here. Let's go to Eco Bistro. Welcome. Let's give him a round of applause. Yes, let's run. Come on. You're between us and lunch.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John. So if you have eaten food today, chances are that food contains some chemicals transferred from the farmer all the way to your plate. This is John Kamau on behalf of our founder, Mutuma Muriuki, who is on his way to the COP28. And our company is called 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗡𝗞. We are on a vision. We have a vision to empower chemical-free foods, to ensure that we are taking chemical-free foods. And how we do that, we have gadgets, solar-powered pest traps that are enabled. So what happens is that it has 4 components: a solar component, electrical component that has sensors that automatically activate at low light so that it can start trapping pests. And you have that ball gadget. I came with one, so after this I'll show you those who are interested. And through that, we are able to help farmers to reduce the cost of pest management, or the cost of pest management, by around 40%. I wish we had time. I show you a case in point of a farmer in Kirinyaga who has been using our pest control gadget, reducing the cost of pest control by over 40%. So we are here to ask for partnerships, partnerships with people who will help us get to farmer groups, partnerships with people who are going to give us the technical capacity, because we look forward to building or doing around 400 pieces of gadgets next year, scale it up to around 800 in 2025, and take it to around 1,500 in 2026. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Hey. You deserve double claps. Let's clap for him again. He has kept within the time. Wonderful. So I want to give the judges, each of them, 1 minute to just give feedback to all of them at once. Question and feedback, but within 1 minute. Okay.
Actually, do you know why it's called 1 minute? Because normally you have 1 minute when you ambush an investor in an elevator. You have 1 minute between floors, so you've got to speak quickly. Okay, some general comments very quickly. Think about regulatory compliance and handling protocols. Think about training healthcare workers. Think about language barriers. This is for Sharia. Think about promoting cultural sensitivities, and then you're closely aligned to SDG for the social impact. So think about how you can develop a greater legacy with your work in terms of that. 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗡𝗞, engage more with the local communities to take ownership of the pest control. Engage more with the local communities to try and get them to take ownership of pest control. Collaborate with the research institutions just to make sure you're up to date in terms of the innovations. And a general comment for everybody. A couple of things you need to be thinking about. There are gender disparities in Africa. So when you're doing your solutions, make sure that you're taking care or thinking about that too.
Thank you so much for your presentations. I think one thing that I have noted is that most of you in the different sectors are more or less addressing the same market. So you should be able to look amongst yourselves and be able to identify partnerships that you can forge. Most of you, a guy like 𝗖𝗢𝗠𝗪 can collaborate with 𝗖𝗢𝗠𝗪𝗘𝗏. There's a lot of synergies that I saw within your different presentations, and also you being just cognizant that you do not really access the whole total addressable market. You really have to take a share of it and look at the partnerships and the competitions that you can have, more or less.
Okay, great presentations, and it's awesome that you've been adaptable enough to fit what you had to say in 1 minute. So I just have 2 comments for these 2 ladies, and it's also possible that you were going to explain this if you had more time. I think for 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗡𝗞, Kiganjani, I had actually met you when you were very, very early in Seed Starts, if I'm not wrong, in Tanzania. So it's really impressive to see how you've grown. Just a comment, I think one of the challenges that we always face with legal stuff is people on the ground don't necessarily understand. So I wanted to know how you are going to be able to break it down into simple terms so that, you know, the young people can understand, be able to understand, do, you know, what they need to do and get help whenever they need it. And then for VitaBox, I was just wondering about how long those coolers actually last. And my understanding of the solar energy space is that it's pretty expensive to build. So I'm actually wondering how you connect the solar panels, the cost of those solar panels, and how you're able to make it accessible to all those other people. So we can always meet up later, and you guys can tell me what you think. But thank you.
Great, thank you. So I think much has been said, but I think the major comment is bring out the impact in most of your innovations, which is very important, and also tying it to the SDGs, and also in terms of the government agenda in your country. I think for Sharia, I just had a question in regards to, maybe you would have said it, in terms of how do you ensure that then you have legit lawyers in your platform, such that then you don't have lawyers that have not yet been established by the legal institutions in your organization. So I don't know, maybe you had it, it's just that there was no time to respond to that. Yeah, but thank you.
Thank you so much. This is the best summit in the entire conference. Why? We are startups. Yeah, energy. Let's also congratulate our judges. Judges, thank you so much. Your feedback is amazing. And because we're very unique, I want us to thank our judges in a unique way. We'll stomp our feet in 3 factorial. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1. Okay? Choose the leg that is feeling more energetic. All right, let's start. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1. Thank you so much, judges. So I'd like our startups to remain behind with the judges. They'll take a photo. But as we wrap up, I also want to give 1 minute. You know, we're in the elevator now. So 1 minute to our wonderful Ugandan representative to also just give us an overview about how we can collaborate with our sister in Uganda. Thank you. Let's give a round of
applause. Next distinguished guests, judges, ladies and gentlemen, ambassadors, our honorable from Uganda, innovators, scientists, all of you. Nice meeting you, and good afternoon.
That doesn't seem to be okay.
Well, I'm going to make it very brief because some of you are... Oh, sorry. Okay. I'm going to make it brief because we're running out of time, and I heard some people interested in doing some business in Uganda. I'm from Uganda, of course. I work with the Ugandan High Commission. I'm the Chargé d'Affaires, and we're based here in Riverside. So I would like to invite you, whoever is interested in coming to meet with us. We can arrange a date. Maybe all of you come together instead of one coming at a time, and you tell us what you'd like to do. And the way the embassies work, when you want to start a business in another country, you have to go through the embassy that we are situated here in Nairobi for you Kenyans and Tanzanians. So you have to come to the embassy first. So you tell us what you want, and we communicate to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the other sector or MDA you are dealing with. Then from there, you get invited through us, and you go to Kampala or they come here. It's up to you. But that is the process. So you come to the Uganda High Commission, meet us, we have a discussion, tell us what you want to do in Uganda, then we'll refer you to our ministry and Uganda Investment Authority, UIA. It's a one-stop center. So you don't have to go around in different places looking for licenses and this and that. So it's all done at Uganda Investment Authority, okay? So we'll give you all that information. So you can meet me out, and I'll give you my cards, and then we'll set a plan and a date to meet at the embassy. All right? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for unlocking wealth within Eastern Africa. Thank you so much. So because of time, thank you so much, everyone, for bearing with us and listening to our startups. And I think for all of us, it's a challenge to see how we can all communicate and package our story in just 1 minute. So kindly, the next steps are lunch will be closing soon. So kindly, Shem and Eric, you can guide the participants on where to go for lunch. Where are we going? Second floor? All right, so second floor, kindly just dash there, but the judges and the startups kindly remain behind for a picture, and also the Ugandan Investment Authority. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. See you next year. We will definitely publish a report about the Startup Summit, and you can definitely plug in and learn more from the different social media handles at Kenya Innovation Agency. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a lovely afternoon. And please be back by 2 p.m. We'll have the closing ceremony. And